SWB audio capture, not registered. SWB audio capture, not registered.
Okay, now I think it's good. You guys talk?
Test,
Check,
test,
check,
test,
check.
test.
Okay,
Check.
now it's good. I had to turn on the audio mixer. We're about to do a whole podcast with no audio. Straight to the trash. uh yeah, we've been doing this for a little while. You gotta be able to like at least the audio gauge should be going up and down. Okay. That's fine. We weren't saying anything crucial. We're just checking the audio. Okay, so if we're good with that, I'm gonna start recording in 3, 2. Okay. Put the starting soon away. Put Angry Man away. And I think we should, if I go here, everything should look. Hey, there we are. All right. Let's do it. All right. Welcome back, you guys. Welcome back, everyone, to the Be Warned and Be Filled podcast. We're back. We're back, and we have not everyone, but we have most of us here. We have the guys, the crew, the family. We got Ace.
What's up?
We got Ghost.
Yo.
And we got myself, Questlando. Guys, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling today?
Extremely tired.
The greatest type of feeling you want to hear on a podcast.
That's a good omen. Decent.
Well, you're probably not alone. It's been a long week. Everybody's been busy. Everybody's been grinding. But now we're all here on the B1 and B4 podcast to go over some of the stories that you might not have heard of, might have heard of, some deep dive conversations, so on and so forth. Before we get into topics, typical podcast intro stuff. Not only do we come here and talk about stories, we provide new music. If you're interested in any new music or new artists, you can check in the description below, and we provide a Spotify playlist where we bring our song selections of the week. So if you're looking for new artists, you can jump right into that link. And after we do the podcast and edit it a bit, you'll be able to find just a list of all the songs that we brought this week too. Just make it a bit easier for some folks. Also, after the podcast, you'll be able to find timestamps. So if you want to just kind of go around throughout the video, obviously the podcast we do for damn near half an hour to 2 hours. So if you just want to go around, check out how we want to talk about stories, we provide that. And it's in the description below, obviously. And if you just want to consume even shorter content, I implore people to go to our channel and go under the videos tab, where you can find all our individual topic videos. We try to drop videos every day. So, salute to you guys for coming on here and generating the content, and salute to all those out there that actually, bump into our videos. And all the likes, comments really are greatly appreciated. Also, before we jump into topics, is there any content recommendations and or reviews, warm reviews as we call them here, that we want to come on here and provide, address, outside of music, of course?
I got a couple quick things. First, well, I guess it's both forms of media that I've read. First is a short story that I read by Head Chiang. Apologies if that pronunciation isn't correct. Called The Merchant and the Alchemist Gate. And I was talking with our missing co-conspirator Wes about books, and we just got onto a couple different tangents, and it triggered me to read this because I was in the mood for something similar to Arabian Nights, and this has been on my list for a little while. I just had put it off, but I did read it. I did greatly enjoy it. Kind of like I don't want to say a fable, but short story. I don't call it a morality tale, but I liked it. I liked the message. It was pretty straightforward, but it was a good mix of sci-fi and fantasy. Pretty compelling. This author is well known for his short stories. I believe, Ace, you actually recommended one of his books that Arrival was based off of, which is funny because I had no idea this is the same guy until after I was browsing through his library of books that he's written. But I recommend it. Good, enjoyable read. The Merchant and the Alchemist's Gate is the title.
Perfect. Dope. Anything
So
else?
that was the first thing. The second one was the manga Dawn to Dawn. It's anime adaptations coming out in a few months, and
Yes, sir.
the animation looks incredible, and the trailers triggered me to want to read the manga because it's kind of been on my list, but I didn't really have my eye on it too much until I saw the trailer, and it was an extremely enjoyable read. I will say that it's shonen, but it's pretty surprising the amount of slice of life stuff that's in there. It's not just straight shonen. It is very funny, but the humor might not be for everyone because it's kind of out there, and the content wise, it does get a little nothing crazy, but a little ecchi. But if you can handle that, again, I greatly recommend it because it was super enjoyable to read. That's the number one thing I'd say. Character wise, I really enjoyed all the characters. Humor, again, very good. Concepts, enjoyable. And the art is. I think I was talking about the My Hero art. I think this art is better than My Hero because it's fantastic. It's kind of fantastic in a different way because it's a lot more fantastical monster design and stuff like that. But yeah, um, again, very enjoyable. Check it out if you're in the mood for something like that.
That's dope that you came here and liked it. Yeah, I'm hella hyped for the anime to come out. And that was when I kind of had my eyes kind of privy to. So there might be another one that's manga that's out or coming out that we probably would like. It's relatively new, Galaxius. Yeah, I've been hearing a few folks talk about that one, but don't I just heard that one might be good. Don't no, it doesn't have my cosign yet. But yeah, there are a lot of great manga series getting their anime adaptations recently this year in general. So that's pretty hype. The only thing, and I guess I do kind of run into this, like there are some series where I'm not super hyped for to read the manga, so I kind of wait until the anime adaptation come out. But say the anime adaptation comes out and it's fire, then I kind of compelled to kind of go back and read it because it's like I'm gonna watch one season and then I'm just gonna wait. So I wonder if anyone else can relate to that. But I digress. Okay. Anything else, Ghost? You are all the way muted.
My bad. I said that's all from me.
Bet. Okay. If there's nothing else, we can get right into the topics. If that's cool with y'all.
Yep.
So let me actually go back here first and then pull this up. Oh yeah, now I remember where we're at. We did. Damn. Did they leave the comment in under here? Because they left a comment somewhere. But it might have been under a shade room post. I can't tell. Why is that look blurry to you two, Ghost, or is it just me?
Yeah, it is a little grainy.
What's going on, Ace?
The whole window or just the picture?
A whole window.
Oh. Let me.
It's got a little better.
Let me look at the
internet connection.
Check the stream.
Yeah, how does it look on the stream? One moment. Let's up with the BRB. Oh, it's not on the stream. Duh.
You're not showing it.
Yeah. Okay, look at it now.
Oh yeah, that is a bit blurry.
It's not awful. It's just I don't know. Zoom in or zoom out a bit. I don't know. And also the names
Zoom
left up.
out.
So everything's left up. Give us a second. Okay. It's all good if it's not the highest quality. It's not like there's any. people don't need to see the high resolution fidelity to understand what's going on here. And this first topic really isn't anything to even stay on too long. Salute to Hollywood Unlocked, salute to Jason Lee, and most importantly, salute to Scarlett. If you may or may not recall, we came in here and talked about, what was the issue? Scroll back a bit. They were having a conversation with their significant other. We don't have to actually listen to the whole thing, but they were on live. They were chilling with their boo, and they asked, what did they ask specifically? Am I pretty? I think it was just as simple as that. And I don't know, we don't know the relationship between these two, but he, in theory, fumbled the question and said, sometimes. And even in double down and said, not right now, though. And while I'm never going to be the one to say you got to bend and fold to your significant others, women will. There was absolutely no need for that. And if anyone cared to know the validity of what this, how this affected her, salute to Scarlett. Unironically, one of the hardest New York rappers, regardless of this type of post. The latest and greatest update is, scroll over one to the left. I guess it was two to the left, but Scarlett posted a video a couple days after that initial interaction, saying, I left him. Yes, my confidence is back. So, yeah, I guess it was grand opening, grand closing for homie. Maybe it's the thing that we can't relate to. And if you want further, before I ask the question, and if you want further, I forget, I did a snapshot. I can't tell if this was under this particular post or if it was under another post that somebody that was talking about this. But they even jumped in the comments and said, Scarlett, and I might put this on the screen when I'm editing. They said, why let anyone validate me? I am who I am. Doubling down on the fact that, yeah, I did that shit. It maybe it's something that God can relate to, but do you think, and this is a whole thing, I don't really care, but do y'all think it could make sense to leave somebody for that type of interaction? If y'all remember it, what do you think, Ace, real quick?
It makes sense to me that it would happen. And I think I kind of stated it when we talked about it last time. To me, it's like obvious that he shouldn't have said it, and I think to most people, it's like he asks you if she looks good, like the answer is never no, or sometimes, especially if it's on a live thing in a public setting too, because then there's an element of, potentially an element of like publicly shaming her that comes into play. It's like just dumb all around. It's just dumb to me. So I'm not surprised that it happened. I don't think if it was the other way around, where it was like a woman critiquing a dude in a similar way, that they would take it in such a way that they would end up leaving the woman. Yeah, exactly. Just pure aesthetics. But
the equivalent for men is if you call a man like the B word, a bum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm definitely not surprised that it happened. I will say that.
What do you think, Ghost?
You messed up, dude.
I mean, if it was an isolated incident and that's literally the only time that they've ever had an interaction like that, then maybe, but I would gather that this isn't just a one-time thing. And I think I was on the same wave as Ace, is that it was a super easy question to answer. Like, you have the answer key in front of you and you still got it wrong. So Buddy got no one to blame but himself. It does not really surprise me. I won't go into just if it's justified or not on her end, but I mean, come on now. Like he had to know the second that he spouted off on, and he didn't just say like, "Not right now." He said he tripled down. He said, "Definitely not right now." Like, come on, dog. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, me neither. I damn near called it last time. I told I know Scarlett listen. I was like, "Hey man, get ready, cause like you're this big and homeboy is obviously, no offense, not your level. You might as well start packing up our bags."
I'm gonna say something super out of pocket. I will say that like her in this image and her on that TikTok or on that live, I can't remember. Insert TikTok.
Scroll over to one to the right, Ace. Keep going, Ghost.
It looked like she looks like a completely different person, like a completely different person. Just saying.
I
don't know about that.
I don't know if I'm touching that. Salute to Scarlett. I'm not touching
that. We can leave it at that. Just something. I'll remark on it and leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm not touching that. Nope, not tonight. Not right now.
Because it's quality, but
yeah. Salute to. Apologies to everyone at home that the quality might look a little off. Obviously, we always provide links in the description for all the links. So
yeah, we got that 2008 YouTube quality right now.
Yeah, it's looking dicey. We'll work on. I'll try to work on that. Anyway, nothing too much to speak on here. So it's Scarlett. Yeah, I think everyone from my hood, it wasn't gonna last too long for homeboy. Regardless of you could say he was being honest or not, whatever the case may be. All right, let's get to the real first topic. Okay, unless anything else. Yes, indeed. Salute to Shannon Sharp. Definitely, as we're up and coming on our podcast endeavors, probably one of the biggest, best podcasters, content creators out there. They recently did an interview with Oscar De La Hoya, one of the most world-renowned famous boxers. And they talked about a myriad of things, his career, what he thinks of some of the current boxers. It was so a numerous amount of things. And one minor, quote unquote, thing that happened to Oscar De Hoya's career, career, we all recall the infamous photo shoot, and where the brother was not necessarily being seen in the best light. We'll play a little bit of his explanation for this photo shoot, if y'all recall.
Oscar, you had to be Oscar. Why you let him snap that picture?
Which one?
The 15 years ago, the picture you was talking about.
Oh, I was drugged up. Yeah, I was drugged up. I didn't even know it.
Yeah. You didn't know you had put the pantyhose on?
No. Have you ever tried it?
No, hell no. They gonna make me put pantyhose on. Hell no, I ain't gonna try. I ain't gonna try it either.
Okay. Think about it. To get those pantyhose on?
Yeah.
God damn it. But it'll take like 2 hours.
But that's what
sober.
Oscar.
Yeah.
You had to go by the size when you was not sober.
No. What happened was, and I've talked about this a lot in my documentary too, because I'm open about it. I don't give a fuck. I was getting with bad people, this and that. 2 women come in my room with a suitcase. That's all I remember. And after that, I wake up the next day.
What was in the suitcase?
Well, women's clothes.
Oh.
Yeah, women's clothes, drugs, this, that. Yeah, they set me up. But it's okay. It happened. So what?
It happened? Pause it.
During your career.
It happens.
You're literally the only guy. Like,
He's just nonchalant like that.
You never just at a function, two girls pull up with a suitcase and then it happens. That never happened, Neil.
that's crazy.
I guess you at least gotta salute them for the transparency.
I don't know, dog.
Sorry,
Seems
my
like
bad.
a cover up to me.
Go ahead, Ghost.
My internet is like spazzing out. I don't know if you just asked a question. I'm good now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always remember we're working on budget equipment over here, but we still get it done. Still high quality content. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I mean, he's loose and transparent about it. I guess you gotta give him maybe credit for that. But obviously, like you said, it happened several years ago. At this point, a lot of people don't necessarily remember at the forefront, but it's one of those things where, for better or for worse, he's definitely a person where if he ever bumps into any type of controversy or if he ever says something even slightly slick, there's always going to be a person to say, "This you?" And yeah, I mean, many people all throughout history have that, but as a man, typically you want to have the "ain't this you" not be something that really makes you look bad as far as your masculinity or your credibility, if that makes sense. So I mean, I don't know. There's maybe not much to talk about. When I bumped into this against Shusa and Shannon Sharp, creating very, you're probably getting content that most people aren't getting. When you see this, and maybe now years later, and maybe hearing the explanation, what do you think of the dynamic of? Because as we all know, respect means a lot for men. It means a lot for people in general, but respect means a lot, especially for men. And do you think there are actions, say for example this, that could make a man lose respect in your eyes, like you lose respect for a man? And can an explanation like his, for example, can it make this story make sense and for you effectively to potentially respect him again? Essentially, do you think respect can be lost based off something like this and again returns, so to speak? What do you think, Ace?
Yes to both. I think respect can definitely be lost for something like this, and
A little wild night.
there is yeah. I mean, it's gonna be the kind of the first instinct for most people to lose respect was off of seeing something like this, but gaining the respect I think is possible too again, but it would have to come from the person just basically owning it and just conveying that and I guess I should say, like, my issue with this video is it doesn't seem like he's being honest even now, like, or transparent, saying they set him up. It's just like it's kind of like
you're not believing that?
no, not really. No, not in the way where like somebody deliberately drugged him and for the purpose of just to take photos of him with lingerie on. Like,
Could have been for
that sound
blackmail
a little-
purposes. Like extortion.
It's
It's like a perfect setup. You drug someone, take the pictures of them in a compromised position like this,
but he didn't say
try to
that.
circulate them. I mean,
He hasn't said that though.
And also,
It's possible that
it-
he just decided not to go forward or say put the
But I
pictures
would
out.
say, like, if that was the situation,
technically,
firstly,
he said,
I wouldn't.
Sorry, real quick.
ahead.
Technically, he said that the night happened, and then he woke up and it was on the internet. So unless they tried to extort him while he was
Right.
sleeping or out of his
Yeah.
mind,
Oh yeah.
it seemed like they just put that
Yeah, it
that's
just
out
seemed-
immediately.
Right.
Sorry, let's go ahead.
The way he's talking about it, like his tone, where it's very nonchalant, but at the same time, it doesn't really seem true. Like it's almost like he's too dismissive for something that sounds pretty serious. If somebody drugged you, you can't remember a single thing that happened, and you woke up with these lingerie pictures on the internet. Like I wouldn't even like I would expect him to take a more serious tone about it if it was something that was um that serious, but
I mean, he
he's
said it
being
was
nonchalant
15
about
years
it.
ago.
Still,
At this point, he's
like
probably heard everything there is to hear and discussed it ad nauseum. Although I admit I never heard of this at all, but I feel like maybe a part of that him not caring is that it's been so long that he's just like whatever about it that happened. But
I suppose that
I
could
don't
be a
know.
thing. And me coming at it from not, I don't remember this at all, so it could just be that um that I'm coming at it from the perspective of not having heard it, but to me it just seemed a little bit too dismissive and a little, it was like far fetched. Like, dog, just is it, it it seems more likely that like he did take some drugs or whatever. He did some stuff that he regretted, and that was that. But not like they set me up and they put these clothes on me, and then he's talking about how hard it would be to get the clothes on him sober, but he was apparently drugged, so it must have been even that much harder. But they still did it. Like, it's just, it seems far fetched. So this is why I couldn't, like, for me, this doesn't exonerate the goofiness of this situation. Like, you're not, because he's not, to me it doesn't seem like he's really owning what happened. I still I still like have lost the little respect. I mean, he's not somebody I think about all the time or really
Yeah, we're
at
not
all.
talking
And
about him.
like I
I'm
said, I
not
didn't
asking you
know about
guys.
this.
I'm not asking you respect him. I'm just talking about like if
Yeah,
a man in general.
yeah. So yeah, if I was aware of this before, then this wouldn't have changed anything. But in general, like, I do think it's possible as long as you truly own up to um what you did. Truly own up to what happened. Like, we are human, so regardless, so people do some wild stuff, especially when they're young. But um, yeah, owning up to it is key.
I mean, what is young? I mean, 15 years ago.
Yeah, he does look pretty old in this.
I think he would have still been like 20s, late 20s.
Yeah.
But fair enough, fair enough. I largely agree with what you're saying, and even with the understanding of like what Ghost said, if it seems like with it has a lot to do with the time and how long ago quote unquote happened, why he has a more lax attitude about it. But yeah. What about you, Ghost? What other thoughts in general? If you think there are actions similar to this that would make you lose respect for a man, or make a man lose respect in general, and then can you earn it back?
I think respect is an interesting word because for me, like, I kind of have a separate. I don't. What I think about respecting someone as a person, I'm generally thinking about like their actions toward other people, not necessarily their private life. If we're talking about
Well, this
like
ain't private, but I know what you mean though.
if we're talking about his inclinations or his masculinity or if he's effeminate, I think, I mean, something like this would put it into question. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time I've ever seen the picture, and I was like, my first thought was like, oh, he's like
Oh yeah, I
that.
remember this. He was like one of the
I
biggest boxers in the world at the time.
I remember Odeal Hoya. I literally do not. I have never seen this story at all. So, and I've never seen this picture. So, my first thought was like, oh, he's like that. But I don't. I kind of think of it separately as like I don't have any level of respect or non-respect for him as a person. If we're just talking about his manhood, then I mean, it's like until proven otherwise, if this is all that I see, I'm assuming that you got some inclinations. That's not. It's not my business, which is why I say that I haven't lost respect for him at all. if we're just looking purely at it from like an outside looking in, like, do you think that bro has got some certain preferences? Then yeah, I, as I don't, I maybe this interview maybe would help with my perception if I even cared about how I perceive him in the fashion of what he likes to do in his private time. Although we did kind of just poke a few holes in his whole story there, but I don't know. It's just I see this and it's like whatever, but I think it is. I'm kind of not for anyone's private, personal habits or what they get into, unless it's heinous and unless it's harming other people. I don't want to even know about it, whether it's good or bad. So that's kind of how I look at this. So I don't equate anything that he does in whatever capacity wearing these pantyhose
Jesus.
as a positive or negative indictment on him as a person, just because I think of that separately as uh, what you uh, what you like to get into. So I guess to answer your question, like if it was, for example, let's say, God forbid, there was a video of him beating on someone and like
Well, he's a boxer,
causing
so
harm.
you can easily find a video of him beating on somebody.
Fair enough. I mean, in more of like a
Domestic.
abuse or just something that's like out of pocket and like, yeah, that's fucked up. You shouldn't be doing that. That is something that would, if I saw that, make me lose respect for him as a person. And
Sorry.
I don't know if there's video proof or photo evidence of something showing you to maybe not be a bad person, but at this moment in time you're doing something that was extremely wrong. It would probably take more than a 30-second interview to make me change my mindset on them. But again, I'm not dedicating a whole lot of time to whether or not someone's a good or bad person. But again, if I have that first impression based on one of your actions, then I'm gonna kind of have that ingrained in the back of my head until I see like hard proof otherwise. And this is obviously different. Well, it's different to an extent if you know the person. Like, let's say I've known him for my entire life and I think of him in a certain way, and then something comes out where he was doing something that was out of pocket, then it would be kind of a mixed bag of, I think all this time I thought you were a good person, but you did this thing. Does this make me look back on all our previous interactions negatively? To some extent, would I have in the future like a mindset more open to forgiveness based on our previous interactions? I would say yes as well. So it kind of depends. Cases like this where it's like I really do not care about celebrities' personal lives at all. So
I think
it would kind of be different if I knew the person.
I think I in general do pick up what you're putting down. I mean, first and foremost, you're just of the general stance of like, my name is Bennett and I ain't in it, which I can relate to that. There's a couple of things, but one, I guess the most important thing I want to ask. So, are you essentially saying that unless something is like pretty much on point, and this is obviously subjective, but like morally right or wrong, that's the pretty much the only thing that can influence your level of respect for somebody?
That what's the thing that would influence my level of respect for them? So
If something is quote unquote morally right or wrong.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, I would say yeah, just because it's like everyone has. I don't know about this analogy, but if it come like if I find out that like a coworker is into Magic the Gathering or something, in my mind,
to all our listeners that are into magic.
In my mind, that's kind of like, okay, you like this in your private time. It's not really work related, or it's not relevant to what I interact with you for. So it is what it is. And I found out that this coworker was also into cross dressing or something crazy. I kind of, I don't want to say I look at them the same, because I don't necessarily.
Sound like you lose respect for them.
I might play Magic the Gathering. I'm definitely not going to cross dress. However, again, as far as like the respect thing, when I think of respect in my head, I just think of like, do I respect you as a good person? That's what I really look at it as. And
So yes, so like I was saying, your respect, the way you view it, is based on morally right or morally wrong.
I would say yes, and with my system, my sense
Yeah.
'cause it's different for everyone, but I would say yeah, because I don't know, it's just hard for me to call someone a bad person
Well, the thing
based
is,
on a photo like this.
I think the way other people might, I don't know if it's a major or minor minority will look at it is, respect, losing respect for them doesn't necessarily have to be on like a moral plane. I mean, some people could say what he's calling.
Yeah, that is true. Like, this is kind of just come from my point of view, but
Right.
I get some people would think of respect as like, do I respect this person like as a conventional man, like your level of masculinity? And that's what they kind of put more into as far as respect goes. And then something like this would kind of knock them down in their eyes. But just for me, it's kind of different.
Yeah, this is the type of thing where we could probably like go down a million different rabbit holes, and like when you started talking about like the Magic Gathering, like cross dressing example, I was like, I mean that's pretty. What a lot of people, especially a lot of Israelites, would deem as egregious. But first thing that comes to mind, what about if one of your homeboys is a furry or whatever the case may be? You quote unquote lose respect for them.
See, that's another thing where I don't lose respect for you, like if you're a good or bad person, but I think it might impact like how much I want to hang out with you, because it's like I'm trying to think of, because I've had this fleeting thought in the past, like what if one of y'all was like a furry or some shit?
Why do you have these?
There's no need to
bro,
even put that on us. I think
okay,
as a person that comes on your podcast, you can think of examples without putting us in the same sentence.
Yeah, it's not like I thought of like, okay, Ace specifically. No, it's just more of like,
I like how you keep.
What if one of my friends was a furry or something like that? I'll keep it general. I wouldn't think that you're a bad person, but I probably wouldn't want to hang out with you because it's weird to me. It doesn't make you a bad person, but if that's your interest, I am pretty vehemently like not for that. So it just feels like something that's,
I don't know. We got a lot to talk about, so I won't dig too deep. But it does seem like, I don't know. It seems like that's potentially like skating the line. Because if you have no negative disposition to a person or lack of respect, then one could question, why would you feel a lack of what lowers your lack of interest in being around that person or being associated with that person?
Well,
if you truly want to say it's two different categories,
okay,
sorry, go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, you said disposition. I would say my disposition towards you would change. Like when I think of like, do I want to hang out with this person? Like I want to be friendly with them, which I mean I don't do because I don't put the thought into that. But if I was thinking along those lines, then like your interests, what you're into, what you're not into would come into play. So my disposition towards someone that's into something that I am not for would definitely change. But if I'm respecting them as a good or bad person, that's kind of remains unchanged. That's independent of Like, if do I want to hang out with you, be your friend, versus do I think you're a bad person? It's separate in my mind.
Dang, I don't know. This is something. It seems easy. I'm not. I'm not one of the people that love debate, except when it's really for content. But I don't know. I think what a lot of people would make the case or would argue for is that in order for men to be a decent level of cordial or to have a decent level of connection, I think respect is fundamental. If you're truly putting them in different categories, I actually tend to believe you. But I think there is a base level of respect that men give one another and have for one another to be cordial. Like, we are not we and us, but I think most men can be cool with each other because obviously experiences they have, similarities, but there is a decent level of respect there, and I think it's kind of hard to remove it, but still be cool or cordial with them. If you're not cool or cordial with them, it's usually because there is a lack of respect. If it's truly, well, just real quick, if it truly is just because of a lack of interest, again, that's not too unfathomable. I think for most people, respect is just intimately tied with how men view each other, and even how women view men to a certain extent.
I see what you're saying, and like I think you're correct. I think for me, just in my head, the hang up is the word respect and how I define it, because respecting someone in my head as a good or bad person is kind of separate from respecting them as a man. And that is what you were going into, where like, if I don't respect you as a man, I might not think you're like a bad person, but I'm not really gonna vibe with you because that there has to be a baseline level of that there in order for us to be on the same wavelength. But I don't know what that the equivalent word is. It's just kind of like conceptually, I get what you're saying. It's just kind of a different definition for me, as far as that goes.
Yeah, like I said, I actually can very much understand your view, and I think you're absolutely. I believe that you believe that, or see it that way rather. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, ultimately speaking, like I said, I think for a lot of men, you do have to have a baseline level of respect for them to be cordial with them, and I think in general, respect can be earned if it's lost, but I think that might be an opinion not everyone shares. You have to really pull yourself back from that, and I think if your explanation is that one such as this, unless somebody's also in that world where they just so some girls coming over and next thing you know happen, unless they're in that type of lifestyle, I think most men, which most men aren't, they're not going to be on board with this type of explanation and or like a lot of people and I think Oscar is familiar with this. A lot of people just don't respect him the way they used to respect him, and obviously he's an important life. We don't have to care about that type of stuff, but it is what it is. So yeah, the moral story is, hey man, as a man, your respect is part of your social currency. You just be aware. But if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic.
Do we want to finish it? Interview? I mean, the section. No, it's good.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything.
We did kind of gloss by the fact that he had asked Shannon if he did it. Like, bro, his story is like, you wouldn't ask that question if it was completely without your consent, bro. Like,
exactly.
Nah, like he put out the feelers first to say, and then nah.
The thing is, and I'm not in any way trying to shoot him bail. If I were to try to like give some type of more context how this situation could have gone, obviously he's not denying that he knew drugs were coming or drugs would be involved in the interaction. He's not denying that. But what often happens is when people take drugs, things be laced, things be stronger than they thought, things be just different from what they thought. And what more than likely happened is he knew there were going to be drugs. He wanted drugs to be and women to be involved. But once the surrounding parties saw the state he was in because of the drugs, that's when he could have potentially got taken advantage of.
I get that, but again, like he asked, like the whole tangent about it's difficult to put these on, like it's all like you talking from experience, bro. Like,
Yeah,
like
right.
this wasn't just an isolated thing. This is like completely
Hey, man.
irrelevant. But I just found it.
Yeah, it's like, why do you know that they're difficult to put them on
Yeah,
if you were blacked out? Like,
exactly.
Well, like, maybe he's just been around women that were putting them on, but I'm not here to defend anybody here. Hey, man.
2024, you could just own it.
Jesus, Joseph and Mary.
Put him back in 2009. Never know.
All right. Salute to Earl Sweatshirt. We actually got a lot, hip hop related stuff, which I like, of topics to talk about. So let's get right to it. You might have seen this interview. So again, salute to Earl Sweatshirt. I guess I'll just kind of read some of the caption. It's the page OK Player. The art of the album will never go out of style. Earl Sweatshirt goes into detail about the modern day tradition of listening to playlists and dives deep into his die-hard love for the purity of bumping music in the classic way, in the form of an album. How do you prefer? So let's hear what Earl has to say about how he consumes music. And to give a bit of a prelude, they're kind of talking about like how in this day and age, playlist is for most people the preferred method of how they listen to music, and he's talking about how he prefers it and what he thinks, how it relates to like the purity of music. So go ahead and play it.
Listen to music.
How do I listen to music?
Are you making playlists, hitting shuffle?
I just made my first playlist the other day.
Really?
I was staunchly against playlists.
Why is that?
Albums. They threaten the album, bro, and the album is like, it's an institution.
Yeah.
Like when I was little, you come and interact with an artist, it's like, let me get this body of work by them, and then you can kind of like grow with it, because you get an album, and then I go through the ones that I like the most, and then you start learning the album based on the one that comes before the one you like, the one that comes after the one you like, and you might hate those songs initially, but then through repetition of like listening to this album, now you start to acquire the taste.
Yeah.
So even if it's not your favorite thing, you're still endeavoring to understand this person's complete idea.
So it's Earl. Actually, very well articulated, I might add. But obviously, like we acknowledge, obviously, the fact that playlists are such a preferred way to consume music these days, it's almost like, yeah, you would say this is his view is more of a older view, so to speak. And like you said, that's how he kind of grew up in it, so that's why he kind of clings on to it. I mean, I guess this is just really like, what do y'all think of his view? Do you tend to agree with it? Do you think he's you're living in the past, man? I think that's a Seinfeld reference. Sorry. Well, what do you think, Ghost?
I don't, for me personally, agree with his take, but I definitely appreciate it and think that it's valid. The way I personally listen to music is that once I have like an idea of if I'm going to like an artist, be it through singles or if I listen to them before, most of the time, like at least 90%, I do like to listen to full bodies of work by them, like their albums front to back. And that from there, once I listen to the albums, then there's certain songs that I really like from them that I'll put into my permanent rotation. Sometimes the entire album is that good that I will just keep the entire thing in my listening repertoire. But I do get what he's saying as far as like the sanctity of listening to a project like by itself as opposed to just picking out songs and
Mhm.
listening to playlists or putting everything on shuffle and never listening to a album front to back, like some people I know. But because again, I think that for some genres it's less important, but for the most part, like if an album is crafted with the appropriate amount of care and effort and time, you really should be listening to these albums in the order that they were intended to by the artist, at least for your first go around, because it contextualizes things in in a way that's true to the artistic vision, and I think a lot of times just sonically it kind of flows better and it sounds better. Again,
Mhm.
this varies for different genres. I think hip hop, depending on the project and the artist, would be like lesser on that scale, um as opposed to other genres. Like if you just go to a random album from an artist, pick out a couple features that, oh, I recognize this artist, let me hear what this feature is, let me hear what that feature is, let me hear a random one, it's usually a pretty good representation of their work in that album. Again, there are exceptions, but then some other genres, like I'm not going to listen to an indie concept album like just picking out a random track in the middle. Like I'm listening to that front to back. So it is kind of different, but I do think that albums in general are preferable for the first time listen, and then when you're going back, like again, I have a list of songs that I'll put on shuffle and I'll play that from random artists, and just based on me listening to the albums, what I picked out that I like. And that's similar to a playlist, but I don't feel like if there's a song I know I don't like, I'm not going to force myself to listen to it just because that's what the artist intended
Yeah.
when they put out the album.
Yeah, and that's the part one of the parts I want to hold on. Although it sounds like you do agree with them on like first take, but once you've consumed it, then you're on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and I guess as an artist, I guess he is maybe supposed to feel this way of just like it's kind of interesting how we flat out said it is like sometimes there'll be songs where you don't like, but then you kind of force yourself to listen to like them. That's definitely a hot take. Um, and therefore I even get into my view on this whole thing. What about you, Ace? What do you think of Earl's view on listening to music? And I guess do you have a preference one way or the other? Do you typically prefer albums, or do you like a mix of a playlist?
I pretty much agree with what he said. I'm near 100%. Like it pretty much articulated exactly the way I think about listening to albums versus playlists. Um, and I mean, I think it's pretty clear based on the last few years of Spotify, um, the Spotify yearly roundup or whatever it's called, where like most of mine is just all of the songs from a particular album
We
of
got the data.
the artist that I listen to the
It
most.
checks out.
So clearly, like I'm someone who kind of subscribes to the idea as well. It's not a hard and fast thing for me where I don't listen to playlists at all or I don't make playlists. Like I definitely do. Um, but at this point, it's my default where like even if I'm listening to a playlist, eventually I'll get to a point where a song comes on um that makes me want to listen to the an artist's full album or series of albums just full way through. So um I I was more intentional about it when I was younger, like avoiding playlists and just listening to albums the full way through. I don't know I don't know if I had a particular thing that influenced me to give playlists more of a chance. But yeah, I mean, my thought process was pretty much the same. Like, in order to get the intent, the full intent of um an artist, um, an artist body of work, it just kind of seemed obvious to me that I shouldn't pick through songs that are, the most popular or whatever, but um actually listen to the full albums and see if I like them. And maybe it's also because that's how we grew up. Like, when we were younger, well, I guess before the bootlegging, or not necessarily bootlegging, but before we were just ripping songs off of like LimeWire or whatever, there was the time when we would either have CDs or somebody would burn a CD for us, and we would listen to the CDs the full way through, pretty much on repeat, because we didn't have that many. So it is the way I got into listening to music. And again, like, I think it was probably obvious to me that because of that, there were definitely songs where I didn't really like them on first go. I mean, I can remember, like, there's Deftones and Tool songs there. I was just like, why did they even make this song? Like, I don't even understand why they made a song that sounds like this. And now it's like one of my favorite songs from that. And so,
Really?
I can definitely agree that listening to an album like that, it has its merit, especially if you're very open to hearing, things that the artist has put together, that, maybe that's not the reason why you got into the artist, but you're still open to seeing everything that they have to offer, and seeing if, anything that they put on their albums work. So yeah, I think that's my overall thoughts on it. I pretty much agree 100% with what he said. And then, yeah, as far as playlists, like, nowadays, I do, for me, I use playlists probably in the same way that most people do, where it's like, if there's a certain mood I'm trying to get into, or I'm into, like, I mean, working out is the clearest example. I have a playlist that I made that's specifically for that, and it's because it puts me, like, it allows me to get into a specific mood and stay in that mood. And if I was listening to an album the full way through, like, there's highs and lows with an album, but with a playlist, like, you can curate it to be exactly the mood you want it to be, and for an extended amount of time. So I think that's where a playlist has its advantage. You're not subject to the like, again, the highs and lows of an album. You can curate exactly what you want to hear, and have that, play for an extended period of time. So I think that's probably the advantage, and I don't have any problem with, people preferring playlists for that reason, or whatever. It's just my personal preference. I'm generally going to be listening to full albums.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, and it's also something I can relate to as well. I will say, though, because obviously I guess I'm the more odd one out, in the sense that I never listen to albums front to back all the way through. That's something I obviously have done before, but now that I'm in my adult age, I'm not bumping into music like that. But I'm still very much conscious of the fact that a lot of people do view albums like this, and especially people that have more creative or artistic view on things. Like, an artist put together this body of work, and, like, it's like, if, like, a book, for example, these things aren't bar for bar. You don't just open a book, jump to page 73, read it, and then jump around like that. So I understand if you were trying to kind of capitalize art, there's a order, or a typical way that's meant to be consumed. Although I guess there probably isn't some artists out there that's made an album that you could just jump around, and it still represents the type of product they want is great. But so I definitely get that. And what you were saying, Ace, like how playlists definitely come in for if you want a particular vibe and you want a certain level of variety that can keep that vibe consistent. That is where playlists definitely come into place. And I'm gonna tell you why else the popularity of playlists has increased, alliteration. It's because not only is you want certain vibes sometimes, it's also when a different mix of people come into place. I mean, there's always been like clubs and just places where people come to party and then like the DJs playing a variety of music. But it's especially when you're like at a function or like we're with a group of people. It does sometimes it just don't make sense to play an album all the way through. And one of the
Right.
one of,
Yeah.
one of the
100%.
examples I can clearly think of, if Wes was here, he'd be able to attest to this because I believe I was with him. We're at the mall and we're at some store, and they were playing My Beautiful Twisted Dark Fantasy or whatever it's called.
I was there too. I
Were you
remember
there?
that.
Yeah, and it's like, and the first couple records came on. Obviously the title track and maybe even Power, and then obviously those records are bangers, so you vibe into it, and then it just keep going through. It's like, Appall came on and whatever other records, and I was like, oh, and then just kind of they're just playing the record, and it's just like, it's obviously it's a great body of music, but at the same time it's like, oh, so we're just letting it rock out. Like, we're not mixing it up. We're not like, you're not even doing a Kanye mix. You're just doing that album. And obviously, it's not saying that the whole store was thrown off by it, but I just noticed it, and I'm like, oh, it just kind of, that's the feeling I got with, like, oh. So, that's where I definitely think where playlists come into place. But yeah, I can definitely get on board with the fact that if you do want to really be on board with what the artist is trying to, if you're trying to like attach yourself to what the artist is trying to represent, that probably is going to be the safest way. I don't think anyone would come on here and say playlists like disrupt music or disrupt art, though. It's just like, if you want to get this vision the artist put out, you listen to the album. Would that be accurate, or does anyone think playlists are like unholy?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I take that position. Like, even if the majority of people just started listening to playlists, the only way I would start feeling any type of way about playlists is if artists just stopped putting out albums because playlists became the prevalent
Dang.
way that music is listened to.
You say that, but I feel as if there was an era, or maybe we're in the era where that is like the way to go. You just put out singles.
Yeah, that is the era we're in. I fucking hate it. But yeah, I think you're correct.
Huh,
Yeah, I mean that's the era we're in, but we haven't gotten to the point where artists do not put out an album. Like, eventually they put out an album. Most artists
eventually. Eventually, yeah. It kind of can be a long time sometimes.
Bro, these producers that be dropping just singles and not full length albums, I want to strangle them. I want to strangle them because I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, and I'm less likely to listen to somebody until they put out. Yeah, especially if they haven't put out a full body yet. Like, I'm not gonna.
You gotta listen to a track from 2019 then 2022. Like, what are we doing here, bro? It's like completely different.
Well, you couldn't listen to the playlist that these songs end up on, and then you're full of them. But
then what if that playlist only has one song by that artist, and it's not a song that you like, but if you heard anything else from the artist, you would like them?
Hey, man. That's the other thing. I think there is a decent. I think it's fair to say people enjoy variety to a certain extent. So I mean, at the end of the day, that's also one thing you have to be conscious of. Like, again, I don't know in this day and age how many people, if you can just put on a whole, just put on Kendrick just like front to back. I think you're gonna have to mix. You're gonna have to throw some other artists in there, regardless of if you want purity or not. But I think regardless of how you feel about it, I think the way Earl articulated it was in a way in which it makes sense to a lot of people, and I think it's definitely a respectable view. So yeah, I don't think there's anything to really debate about or anything to really dig too deep in about. I guess for the sake of sanctity, Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I will say I am surprised that he said he made his first playlist for the first time because didn't he have like a radio show or something where he was like basically DJing and like playing a bunch of um uh kind of like very disparate types of music. I can't remember if it was a radio show or a podcast or something. But I know he's
Earl
done something
Sweatshirt
like that.
boiler room.
It definitely sounds like
No, it wasn't a boiler room.
It definitely sounds like an Earl thing to do, so I don't put it past. I just don't 100% recall it.
Okay. Yeah, because I can't even remember who I saw him talking to. But maybe I could be making it up. Maybe it was just on something.
Was it like
But I
a
thought
radio BBC One radio mix or something like that?
that's yeah. That's what I'm remembering. And also he produces too, right? Right? He produces tracks.
Yeah.
I feel like for himself.
Yeah, so
But I might be.
No, I think he does for other artists.
but yeah, I mean somebody that also produces beats like I mean hip hop beats in particular, you have to have an ear for a wide variety of sounds. So I mean I guess he could be listening to full albums of even the things that he samples, but yeah, I would have been more inclined to think that he was already, fully would fully endorse playlists as opposed to not, or at least have made one before. But that's the only thing that surprised me about it.
Yeah, I wonder what finally made him give it a try.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anything else comes up about that, definitely let us know. But yeah, I guess in general, for like listeners, let us know what you guys prefer. Do you prefer whole albums, or are you more of a playlist, mix it up type of person? But I guess if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic.
Seems like it was called Earl Sweatshirt Stays Inside. But I'll have to double check it.
Are you still with us, Ghost? Or did your internet crap out?
I'm here.
Sorry, give me 1 second. What am I looking for? Oh, I should have probably went to Genius.
Oh yeah, there was an episode where he was talking to Solange Knowles. I think that's the one I remember.
Sorry about that. Anyway, oh man, Fugee's beef. What Jay-Z say? And then the Fugees break up. Now every day I wake up. Man, this sucks. So scroll over all the way to, not all the way to the right. I think go third to last or second to last. Let me look at this. Yeah, I guess we'll just okay. Go to the last one or the first one. Depending on how you look at it. So we came on here and talked about Lauryn Hill. Salute to Lauryn Hill. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care if she comes out and says, "Hey, y'all should be happy." Even if I'm late to a concert, I'm always gonna give her respect because she dropped one of the most classic albums of all times. And anybody that makes X Factor has the right to be late. Now, do they have the right to cancel shows abruptly when they're doing a reunion tour? That might be a big different story. But yes, it absolutely did go out a little while ago that the Fugees were doing a reunion tour, and obviously the Fugees tour, that's big. Like that's something even maybe I would have some level of interest in. Lauryn Hill, Praz, the Fugees, Wyclef would be a part of it. That's a show that that people can really get on board with. But not soon after it was announced, it was abruptly canceled. Oh, actually, no, sorry, not after it was announced. It was even it says right here, 3 days before the first tour date. Man, imagine you order your tickets, you're hyped for a show, you get maybe has that happened to y'all actually? I'm talking about like it's an example. Have y'all ever got the shows canceled right close to the day of the show?
I have not, thankfully.
Fair enough. Well, I think we can all still imagine how pissed we would all be, especially with ours that you're really looking forward to. So, following that, we had a message from Lauryn Hill. Go to the left. And Lauryn Hill released a statement. Just take it slow. Lauryn Hill released a statement after the Fugee 2024 tour was canceled. We'll be back in full force. And I think there was a whole statement that Lauryn Hill put out. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I don't like to delay things. I like to make sure we have everything here. So my apologies. What did Lauryn Hill say about this? Yes. Uh-oh. No. There's no way. Lauryn, this was August 7th. According to Variety, Lauryn Hill says U.S. tour was called off due to low ticket sales, which she attributes to media sensationalizing of her canceled shows last year. Damn. There's a lot
in the media for
there's a
20 plus years of her being late.
There's a lot to take apart of that. I mean, I don't know if we have the time to get into all that. We digress. Maybe we'll talk more about this, but effectively, Lauryn Hill said, this tour was canceled because there wasn't the tickets weren't moving, which they must have not had to stop close to us because even we would have maybe bumped into that. And they're saying that they attribute it to the way the media portrays the fact that there was some shows getting canceled in previous years. I thought they were gonna say the shows were you guys gonna have to wait. You go to the show, you have to wait a bit. But that's what that's how Lauryn Hill feels. So who amongst us can say if they're wrong or right? I think we can all say they're potentially wrong. But anyway, so in the wake of this, one of the other Fugees members came out and had something to say about it. Go over to the left twice. So it came out approximately, this is Lauryn Hill on a new song. And let's see what did this sound like. Now go to the right and let's hear the bars.
Hold on.
Bars? Question mark?
Is it playing? Oh, it was paused.
Chest best protect your neck. Aiming guns in all your pics, you don't pose a threat. Still waiting for me to lose, don't hold your breath. They took a bite out of Zambezi, I control the rest. Don't blame me, blame her, she made the mess. Not another fucking penny's what I told Clef. Trotting the globe with the bros, playing dominoes. We get it done where I'm from, it's more cons than pros. Obama name and the discoveries had to plead the fifth.
Oh, hey,
Is that all?
that was the part where he was taking, quote unquote, taking shots at Lauren.
Oh,
Yeah.
before we talk about the contents of this itself, like,
Go ahead.
what was that beat, bro? Like, this is what you put the diss track on? I can hear the fucking metronome in the background, the TikTok. Like, some jazz, literally some
I think that
fucking
was,
80s jazz song. Like, what the hell?
I think that was intentional, but you know.
Oh my god, bro.
So suffice to say, while we're here, you weren't really feeling the diss, the record.
I mean, besides the beat, like that flow, dog.
It was non-existent.
Ooh, there's some rappers that have aged very gracefully over the years that are in their late 40s and 50s that can still get after it. I don't know if he should. Maybe it's a good thing this tour got canceled, bro.
Jesus, don't do that. Don't do that.
Dog, did you hear it? Did you hear that? Did you hear it?
Yes, and we've also all heard the score. Knock it off. What about you, Ace? How those bars ring to you? You feeling it or not so much?
Definitely not so much to not at all.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough.
It sounded like the heart was in it.
Yeah, obviously, I'm being facetious. Obviously, those bars, like Ghost saying, the flow is just so ancient. You can hear the rust on it. It kind of reminds me a lot of Consequence, but Consequence I think has actually done a decent job in this day and age. So kind of interesting. But yeah, those he definitely. And to be fair, while we're calling those bars trash, just like the Record Club did, like which we're about to get to in a second. Maybe this was just a more of getting off your chest. Sometimes you're getting off your chest, not about coming on here and putting out a euphoria, a meet the grams. Sometimes you're just trying to not like us. Sometimes you're just trying to, don't blame me, blame her. It was her fault. She was kept a mess.
Nah.
She's not like the rest.
Keep it in your voice recordings, bro. You record that shit and it should never ever see the light of day. If that's what he wanted to do, because he put that shit out for the world to hear, bro.
Even though she got
that's the type of thing that you record late at night and then you wake up in the morning when you have a clear head and you're like, damn, I said good thing I didn't put this shit out because this is trash.
I rock with God and I know this is just a test. Sorry.
Well, you failed that test because my goodness.
Anyway, I totally agree. When you put something out, you got to make sure. Because what is the point? What is the point of a diss record like this? And this is kind of, I guess, it's kind of getting to the overall question of the topic. Like, what is the point of this? Like, does he want Lauren to respond to with a record of her own? Does he want her to feel sorry? Like, what is the point of some of these diss records sometimes?
I think he was just to be honest, I think he was getting it off his chest, and he's just kind of pissed and putting it out for people to, I guess, if they were wondering why he got canceled, he's given some context and some explanation.
But he didn't. He just said it's her fault. Don't blame me. Blame her.
Yeah, that is. You're right. He didn't give any explanation at all. Yeah, I think he's just vetting. To be honest. I don't know what else to say.
What about you? Do you think there's a point to this? Do you think this makes sense? Like, do you see the potential purpose of this?
I mean, yeah, just not really. If that's all he had to say, he could have just said it. And you're right. He doesn't provide any more context besides just saying blame her. So, no, there was really no point. More I think about it.
Well, obviously we all know the Fugees have been at odds for years and years and years. I don't know if we were talking about it recently on here or just in general. I mean, I think it's because there's some of the City Girl shenanigans, but one of the conclusions I came to recently, hip-hop groups, specifically hip-hop groups, they just do not work. Like, you can look at alternative, rock, jazz. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not speak so highly of jazz, but alternative groups, especially. You can go look at Eagles, The Eagles, they're just doing legacy tours. Metallica sticking together like grits all these years. When it comes to hip hop, it just don't work out. You can name any legacy hip hop group, Outkast, the Fugees, Wu-Tang. They've reconciled a lot of things, but there was a time where Wu-Tang wasn't so good. The Fat Boys. I mean, go listen to Hardest "Ain't No Love" by Jay-Z. It just you can a lot of groups and it labels too. A lot of these labels that were super, even like in our quote unquote era, like in the 2010s, MMG was super tight. TDE, Good Music, like labels kind of became our future. Even like these labels became like the new like hip hop supergroups. And over time, even those don't necessarily hold up for whatever reason. Sometimes just because nothing good lasts forever, and sometimes it is because of beef or strife. And I don't know. Again,
brothers die, unfortunately.
Yeah, that too. Oh, man.
Rip Pro era, Rip Steez.
Man. Even the Migos situation, even though there was somewhat of a falling out beforehand, jeez, like now that situation just never coming back the way it was. So yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of factors to why groups can break up, but I don't know. It always sucks to see, even though we're laughing at these bars, it does suck to see these type of things. And I don't know. I mean, maybe there isn't really a specific thing that can be figured out through something like this. But I don't know. What do you guys think in general? I guess of this interaction, but in general, like, how do you handle like beefs between two people between friends, like especially when you've been really tied together for a decent level of period where you have a strong history, like how do you handle it? Like, I don't know. What do y'all think? What do you think, Ace? Especially if you work together and things of that nature.
I mean, I don't really understand it. Like, I can't really imagine it, so I don't.
I guess something that people. Sorry, Coach. I guess something that people probably can't necessarily rationalize. I guess like the closest thing we could. imagine you have a homeboy or a homegirl. You're super super tight with them. You've been rocking out, and let's say you have an important job to do with them. If it's a guy. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe I should make it sex neutral. I was gonna say if it's a guy, you're going to work on a house. It was a woman.
What were you gonna say for the woman? I want to know.
I don't know. Work on a programming task or something. You're working. I know. My apologies. You're working on some tasks and you with your friends, and they bail out at the last minute. Like, how do you resolve that? Do you diss them?
Gotcha.
Could you imagine?
Well, that makes sense. I mean, that's a good example. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I don't. I definitely wouldn't diss them. I don't think. I would certainly look at them in a different light as far as maybe future projects that I have in mind, and their ability to come through or pull through, especially if the reason is they not really there or is seems flimsy. But I don't know. I mean, I think like any rational person would just kind of not necessarily confront them, but well, yeah, I guess that might be the best word. Confront them and see why they weren't able to show up for whatever you needed them for.
They changed their mind. The money wasn't right, so they said no. Yeah.
Oh, that's then yeah, we're probably not gonna. We're gonna be going our separate ways most likely if the money.
Damn.
Wait, so in this
so just
scenario,
like Jay-Z said, man, the fat boys break up.
Substitute in like one of us, like
Here we go.
I guess it's kind of hard because like y'all are actually
Yeah,
related.
you guys are related.
Well, I guess I'm not related. So if I flake like that,
You're
it's
still
like really
family.
really bad. And I just kind of gave you some lackadaisical excuse, like, nah, I didn't feel like it.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily think like you are basically family, so it's not even like I could in particular just completely cut you off or anything like that. But you would definitely be getting clowned for it. Like I could imagine us talking about it now. And then just again moving forward, it would be like if I got some project I need to do, I'm probably not gonna
Nah, but let's
rely
say,
on you, especially if you don't have a good reason. You just I didn't feel like it. Like come on, like, I
but if
just
it's not
can't.
if
Like
it's not like if it's not another project, like if I post some stuff like this on you, and then I hit up the group chat, we doing the pod Saturday night. Are you gonna have any issues or any
no, I don't think so. No,
huh.
no, it would just purely be for whatever like major endeavors we're doing. Obviously, you've been showing up to the pod, so
And by the way,
there's
when we
no
say
reason I would believe you would stop, but it would
and by
be
the
for
way,
anything that
when we say
similar.
project, just to be clear, money's on the line. Like you have a customer or you have somebody.
Yeah, exactly,
Gotcha.
exactly.
So you could be cool with them outside of that, but when it comes to like business, that's where you don't rely on them as much.
I think so. I think when you bring money to an into it, and not necessarily that I I'm this money conscious guy or whatever, but there's just an aspect of like, well, even if you just didn't, you didn't feel like coming, if there's money on the line, it's like there's some level of importance to it, and also importance to me. Like this has some weight to me, so it's not just I don't feel like it. It's at the point where if you say you're gonna do something, um and you don't, like it's almost like a disrespect thing where it's like, well, yeah, you didn't feel like it, and you maybe didn't need the money or after all, but I still like it. I never said I don't need the money anymore either, so we're just good. Like you said you were gonna help me, like there's a level of disrespect there, I think. So um but yeah, I don't necessarily think it's only with money though, because if like, even if it's something you're going to work on that again doesn't require or doesn't isn't gonna money isn't gonna be the end result, there's still just like uh I don't know, an expectation that gets built up where it could just be, well, we're gonna do this project, but we're gonna be hanging together. Like we're going to, it's time to, it's something that you can both do together.
I know what you
That
mean.
maybe like you don't want to just work on the thing alone. You want to have somebody to just talk to or whatever while you're getting the thing done. So it's like even without the money, it's it's just like you build up a level of expectation based on a friendship that you have, and if they don't pull through with that, it's like, well, damn, like it doesn't seem like our friendship means that much if you could just flake and be like, I don't really feel like it. Like, it implies more than just you didn't feel like it.
Yeah. Man, it definitely sucks to even imagine. What about you, Ghost? And I kind of like that framing. Let's say you got a friend, a homeboy, or a close associate that you have some level of history with. So it's not something you want to just throw away or you feel comfortable just throwing away. You got business, you got money on the line. Both people agree to the terms and just plan to go. But once that date comes around, they be like, I'm out. How do you handle that? You making disc records?
I'm trying to think. I can't really. Realistically, I don't see any of y'all doing this, but I'm just trying to, in my head, substitute in.
Why do you have to put a face on it? You look at somebody cancel.
It helps me visualize it. Huh.
You're just looking for somebody canceling your life.
It's hard because it's like, again, I don't really see it, but all right. Let's say this happened, and let's say it was one of y'all, because I don't feel like getting into a whole lot of crazy hypotheticals. For one, I mean, after I hit whoever up and said, what's the deal? Why'd you flake? And they said, it was kind of just like the lack of days ago. I didn't feel like it, just brushing me off. I mean, I definitely would be pissed. And I mean, there'd be some level of like discussion with them, like you don't respect the time and effort and all that went into this, blah blah blah. As far as like long-term repercussions, it depends on the level of remorse, because
Is there anything about what we consume so far make it seem like Lauryn Hill's remorseful about this?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because just tying it back into this situation, in her mind, I guess it wasn't really a situation where it was like just a last minute, oh, she didn't feel like it. I guess there was some justification on her end, or I don't know exactly how this process went about. Like if she just did it unprompted, or if they were aware of it, they just couldn't stop it. I don't know. But if it was a situation where the other person thought that they were justified in it, and in my mind they clearly were not, and there's a big disconnect there, I guess that's one thing that might lead to like a disagreement where I don't necessarily like, I'm not like, I never want to see you again, but I'm super pissed. And like if we're not seeing eye to eye and that's not happening in the near future, I don't know. I mean, eventually, there'd be some, I can foresee us rectifying it. And it's tough again when your opinions are so opposing, and both people think that they're right. But I think there is some avenue to reconciliation if one person sees the light, or if they get more context or something along those lines. So I do think there's a path back to being friends again, or being associates, whatever label you want to put on it.
So it sounds like you're saying there is a path in which there's a potential that they could apologize and repent, in the most lightest form. Would that have to come with actions? Or not action? Would they have to rectify the situation, like pay back or something like
that? No, I mean, unless this was like I lost my house and my car because I put it up as collateral and something like that, and like it screwed my family or something, like, which I don't foresee. I wouldn't do that, but it would be more so like, obviously I wouldn't want to lose money, but it's just like the principle of it and the disrespect of you screwing me over in this sense or this fashion. But I wouldn't, like, if we squash it and I felt there was sincerity, it wouldn't be something where like I would like, okay, and by the way, you got to pay me back, and it's been 62 days since this happened and I need my back interest. It wouldn't be something like that. Like it could be appreciated if they paid me back, but it wouldn't be something I'm necessarily looking for. But if it was a situation where the person just didn't care at all, no matter how I expressed my feelings toward the situation, and they had no plans of rectifying anything, no plans of repayment, they just want to continue on as things are normal, that's when I can see like some long term, like, yeah, if this is how you are, this is how you operate, I don't really want to be around you, even outside of work or professional environment where we're associates, because again, it's just a matter of respect and you not valuing my time or energy how you should.
And it's not like you do, but just to clarify, do you articulate that, or do you kind of just
Yeah, I mean,
ghost them? No pun intended.
I'm definitely not going to ghost them. It'd be something that I do articulate. And I mean, if I say all this to them and they say whatever, then that's where it's like I'm not gonna.
What if you say that to them, and what if they said what if it's at that level where they want to? I don't want to say play the remorseful game, but that's when the remorse comes in.
Sure. Well, it kind of depends on the sincerity. In that case, like, I think if at first they didn't care, then I express it, and then they say, "Oh, actually, yeah, I'm sorry, I do care." That's where I think like some level of payback is needed, like actions to show that you're actually serious, like either recouping some of the money or I don't know, they make some type of effort, because otherwise it just comes off as like non-sincere and they're just doing this to appease me in the moment.
Fair enough. And I asked that to say, I mean, like, while it sucks, a lot of people don't necessarily have that, that level, a certain level of remorse until they like see like the real life consequences of their actions. So it's not unfathomable. Yeah. I think I largely agree with you, Ghost. I mean, we're all kind of saying the same thing, but I think when it comes to like close associates, like if I had a certain level of history with them, there's always gonna be room for like reconciliation. It just depends on how they go about it. I think I don't know. I always naturally kind of prepare for like people, certain people. We all know, and we're talking about like how we view each other. Y'all are something rule. Y'all are so reliable, dependable. If y'all ever diverted from what I know for you guys, that would be kind of weird. But in general, I kind of just like don't let I always imagine a world in which I can, in theory, get something done if a person, drops out on me for whatever reason. And maybe I guess I could argue I'm like a less trusting person for it, but that's just me in general. But yeah, I think that's something that can be worked through. There definitely has to be some type of like, okay, so I mean, this will like never happen again, or like, or how do we kind of rectify it, or whatever the situation would be. And I guess just handling beef. I think like you just talk to people, like, and it's not necessarily about, and not to that Proz didn't try to talk to Lauren, but it's not about like what the person's reaction will be. You just have to make yourself abundantly kind of clear on your position and where you stand with things. I think that's where the conversation come in. All this like putting out diss and like, I guess the equivalent for most people would be like if they start going online to start talking about other people. Like, oh, that's like that typically doesn't solve things. Like, and I don't want to get on a whole rant, but that's what I always look at. Like, what is your action? What do you want out of the action? Like,
yeah,
there's no way in which you're gonna diss somebody, and then they're going to apologize, and then
there's cool. Literally no positive outcome from this. The only thing that you're getting is attention from strangers to make yourself feel better, but you're not actually doing anything to solve the situation.
Yeah, and again, maybe his view is purely, maybe he's fully done with Lauren, and his only purpose is to clear his name, which fine, but I like to think about what's going to be the most productive path to resolving a situation, because none of this doesn't make the tour go on. This doesn't like make people look at the Fugees in general as like we look at them in the same light. This just makes it like there's internal strife, and I might go to a show and I might get half the Fugees or one member of the Fugees. That's what this makes me look. Well, think about when I see this. So I think in general, moral of the story is basically like, we're all humans here, and we're all susceptible to making mistakes, and potentially, you never know when somebody does have this type of falling out with you. I think you just have to kind of be very intentional with what you want to be the end result of whatever action may be, however you handle the issue. And typically, I would always say people should look for productive paths. Man, and if you truly want to be done with that person, just do it in the most productive way. If you see some level of a path to reconciliation, then you find out the most productive way to go about that. That's how I would say in general. But I guess before we move on, I guess let's see what the Breakfast Club had to say about Praz's bars real quick. I guess go to the second to last. Or no, second to first. Sorry. I guess I could just say the second one.
Man, I know studios hate to see Praz coming without the Fugees. Like, if you're going to do a record that you know is going to end up all over the
Who's on the
balls,
soundboard?
a shot at Lauren, at least make it good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that wasn't it at all.
At least make it good.
That wasn't it at all. But
that beat hard, though. That beat is hard.
Because he sampled a classic record.
I know.
What was that?
That beat hard.
All right.
Well, let me get on it.
It's called Bar Mitzvah. That bar need to be closed.
So the one bar, the one bar, don't blame, okay. I mean, it's not like it's, don't blame me, blame her. She made the mess. Another penny is what I told Wyclef.
I'm not spending another effing penny. That's what I told Wyclef.
I'm not mad at that.
It ain't that bad.
Well,
No.
Well, Praz top.
Seemed like, oh no, it was bad, but it seemed like they definitely like the beat and.
Charlotte Bean had it exactly right for once. Like I got no beef with what he was saying.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, and most people had the same sentiment of like this was like literally a waste of studio time, which no one believes he went to a whole studio producer and engineer for this, but this is definitely at home Abletunes or whatever it's called production.
Ableton.
Ableton. Sorry, I'm mixing stuff together. Anyway, the moral of the story is, if you're gonna make a diss record, don't do that. Please don't do that. And I'm telling you, this happens every year when like a major rap battle happens. People feel a bit more emboldened to put out diss records. I wonder if this would. I wonder if Kendrick and Drake never happened, if he would have felt emboldened to do it. I'm gonna be honest, but that's just kind of fan fiction theory crafting. Anyway, salute to the Fugees in general. And this is solo, but salute to Lauryn Hill. There was more to that statement that they put out. I'll put a link in the description below to the article where you can find their statement. But yeah, they went on to say like partially the reason why some of her shows from last year was canceled was because they faced an injury They said last year I faced an injury that necessitated the rescheduling of some of my shows. Regrettably, some media outlets penchant for a sensationalism of and clickbait headlines have seemingly created the narrative that have affected the ticket sales of the North American portion of the tour. So that was what Lauryn Hill has to basically say about it. But like I said, I'll put that in the link in the description below. If there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. One sec. I'm looking into something. Yeah, here we go. Yep. Just want to confirm something. Okay, so salute to Mick Jenkins. We're all Mick Jenkins supporters on here. Just completely one of the most talented rappers of this last generation, so to speak. So we did an interview somewhat recently with Angela Yee, and they spoke specifically on the fact that on their previous album, The Patient, let me double check that. The Patience, yes, that's what it is. The Patient. He had two records, if you recall, or if you may or may not know. And one of them had Freddie Gibbs on it, and another one had Benny the Butcher on it. and they were back to back on the album. Now, if you know anything about hip hop, this is a very hip hop centric episode. Some of these things you might not know, but in case you missed it, Freddie Gibbs and Benny Butcher, salute to Griselda, they don't F with each other. There's an infamous Freddie Gibbs brawl that happened in Buffalo, New York, where or I don't know if it was Buffalo. I don't want to go spread on and things that might not be true. It definitely happened in New York. Freddie Gibbs got the raw end of the deal in that brawl. Let's just say that. And they've been beefing for a while. Super unfortunate since they are incredibly dope artists in their respective right. And it's all you could easily imagine super dope records with Griselda and Freddie Gibbs on them.
They've had collabs together.
As I was saying, that I recall hearing records with them on it too. But
oh yeah, One Way. Oh my god, yeah, that song was amazing. I forgot it was on One Way Fight.
But on current years, they've been at odds, been beefing. So entering Mick Jenkins, talking about what his thought process was when he put these two artists on one song on an album and back to back even. Let's hear what the brother had to say.
By Freddie Gibbs, featuring Freddie Gibbs, and then Benny the Butcher right after.
Yeah.
Now, is that something you even realized when you did it? You're like,
oh, I realized it when I did it.
Okay, so you did it on purpose.
I didn't know they were both going to give me my verse.
Oh, okay.
That was the issue. I had been chasing Freddie for like a year and a half.
Right.
Seen Freddie out multiple times. He from Gary, so basically a Chicago nigga. All love, but every time I hit him to do the record, no response, which is typical in the industry.
Okay.
Niggas will dap you up, chop it up, smoke with you, but when you want to work, you ain't getting no response.
Patience.
So, exactly. So, all right, cool. Freddie not hitting me back. My label loves Benny. The label want to get Benny. I'm like, all right, go ahead, get Benny. Almost the same day we get Benny, 2 a.m. that morning, Freddie sent me the verse just out the blue. No heads up, no nothing. I'm like, damn, this nigga sent the verse. All right, cool. So I'm like, damn, we really got a Freddie and a Benny verse. I'm finna put them back to back.
Back to back.
So I did that on purpose, but I just had no way of knowing I was gonna get both of them verses because Freddie wasn't hitting me back.
Whose was better?
Freddie. Easy. You know what? And I'm gonna say it too, because this is how I felt. Holla at me. But I don't think Benny knew what was going on. I've done what I believe Benny did, which is pay for. I give you one of my. Out of a 10, I give you one of my 7s.
Okay.
I give you one of my 6s. You know what I'm saying? Because it's still going to be fire.
Right.
I don't think Benny knew that I was about to do what I was about to do on that joint. So
have a classic
I
album.
give him a pass because he ain't come with it for real. Freddie verse was better. I still like the verse. Obviously, it was on the album. But he ain't come. That wasn't Benny's best.
You spitting, bro. So much facts, bro. That Gibbs verse was so much better than Benny Butcher's. It's crazy.
Who's so much better. Should really salute to all artists involved in this particular dynamic. But specifically salute to Jenkins for transparency. Like, not many artists are gonna come on here and tell you give it up to
yeah, I respect it, bro.
Usually
and
when
just
people
say it straight up, like
usually when people ask about who was your favorite or one of the better verses on your album, people kind of dance around. I just felt everyone put it under a different piece of the equation. Jenkins was like, it was ready. Next question. So you definitely got to respect him for that. And he kind of laid out how the process, it's some kind of insiders, because this is probably happens a lot with different artists. Like, you ask for a verse, like you said, artists dap you up, you'll see them at different spots, different occasions, but, they don't actually send you the record when they say they will, but then maybe one day they do, and then you kind of have to manage that. Don't pay attention to that. You kind of have to manage that. Sorry. Oof. Out of podcast Monday. I have to edit that out. Anyway, my apologies. You have to manage that with what you are trying to create with your project. And it's interesting how you even kind of not pin some of it on his label, but I didn't think Mick Jenkins was so had to be such label influence. Like, hey, we really want Benny.
What label is he on, by the way? I'm curious.
Confirm that real quick if you have a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up.
But all that to say, again, I want to salute to Mick for really giving it up about how it kind of came together. And I guess it seems like he was effectively kind of being petty to a certain extent, because obviously he's in the know. We're all generally in the know of the beef, and the fact that the fact that Freddie gave him the delayed verse, and then the way he got the Benny verse, it wasn't like one of his best ones. I don't know. Almost like a kind of a, I'm gonna put these guys on the verses and see what the reaction is to some of them. I can't speak to his mindset all the way, but in general, I don't know. And I guess this wasn't. I just found this more interesting than anything. That's not anything to deep dive. What do you guys think of what Mick Jenkins was articulating? And do you think that because we were talking about the way artists put together projects and albums, do you think they should be mindful and or careful of this type of stuff when they're putting together albums, or is it really just like put it out the way you fully put it out and don't even care about the perception of it? What do you think, Ace? I think I started with you.
In your question,
go ahead.
Yeah. In your question, are you asking, should they be mindful of? I guess it might be the same thing. Like, should they be mindful of how people will perceive the tracks on the album in a specific order, or should they put it out in a way that they feel is best? Like, is it between those two things?
Yeah, basically. How people will perceive it, potentially how the artist, the features could perceive it, producers, everyone involved. Like I guess, what do you think is like what takes precedence in how the artist should look at how they put together an album?
Okay. So I mean, like, just in general, I think, and I kind of hope, like, I think I operate on the assumption that artists do put a good amount of thought into track order. And
I think an artist like Mick Jenkins does. It's for some of your more industry, the label's doing most of the manufacturing with artists. Maybe the label's not really. Maybe the label's taking more of a step when some of these artists.
I mean, even if the label has the influence, like the influence as far as the track order, like either the artist or the label, like somebody, I perceive that, or I should say, I would expect that thought is going into the track order, and I mean, I would hope it would be the artist, and then if that's the case, that the artist would be thinking about it in terms of, like, if there is a specific artistic vision, like, say we're not thinking about features and we're just thinking about they're putting together a concept album. Obviously, the track order is going to be pretty much solidified. Like, you're going to want it to be in a specific order, even if it's not a specific, like a specific concept, though, for the full length of the album. I would imagine that there would be like some intrinsic level of planning or perception of the order that the songs should go in, and then I would also expect that they would think about it try to think about it from the perspective of a listener, like what is the best order that would kind of like facilitate the album being replayed as much as possible. I would expect that's something that they would think about as well. And I wouldn't have a problem with I don't know. I don't know should be prioritized per se. I guess that's the only thing that where the question could come in. Like, should the perception of the audience be more important, or the expected perception of the audience be more important than a particular artistic vision?
I feel as if we talked about something close to that when I talked about that. What's the brother's name? The brother that was talking about like artists should just focus on what they want to create instead of what the people would want them to put out.
Oh, I don't remember who said that, but I do kind of remember the conversation. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough because, okay, yeah, right. Yeah, it's tough because I have listened to albums where the order of songs, well, the order of songs as like
you would have done
it
different.
almost incentivizes. Yeah, exactly. Because it almost incentivizes in some situations. Like, oh, I know the first song is just I don't like the first song that much, so I start on the second song or something like that. It's sometimes that happens, and maybe that is the artist's like vision getting in the way of what to me like is sometimes clearly the the better order, but just from a listener standpoint. But I don't know, like at the same time I do want artists to follow through with their vision, because I mean, it could be something where I'm just not perceiving on the first listen or first few listens, or I mean, just in general, like if I'm listening to an artist, I'm already like there's already an element of trying to experience something the way they intended for it to be experienced.
You're like already
So
invested.
for them to yeah, exactly. So for them to compromise when I'm already like giving myself over to an experience that they're trying to cater, it's probably not conducive um to a good it's probably not good for the artist overall, like as far compromising their vision um that way. But I can kind of see both sides of it at the same time.
And I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, especially how you're trying to just kind of speak to the different, like it's the dichotomy of both the options. How about yourself, Ghost? When it comes to putting together an album or project, whatever have you, do you think an artist should focus on the perception of, the order and how they put things together, or do you think they should just predominantly focus on, their vision, their sequencing, all that jazz?
I don't know. I think that their vision and the way they put it together should, in theory, in their mind, be the optimal way that the album should be listened to, and by an extension of that, that's the way that the viewers would experience the most enjoyment from listening to it. I feel like if you get wrapped up in trying to make, like, if you're trying to cater too much to the viewers and do things not the way that you would want to do them, but because you think it might be more commercially successful, something like that, you've kind of lost the plot, and the project becomes inauthentic in a sense. Like in this case, I don't think it was anything where Mick Jenkins was trying to do this because, I mean, he obviously thought it was like kind of funny and just do it for the vibes, but I don't think it's something where like at least from this interview, I didn't get the sense that he's thinking, oh, the fans are gonna buy the album more because they see these tracks back to back and they know that Freddie and Benny got beef. I think it was just more so, it would be funny, and he just did it. But
it seemed like he did it it seemed like he purely did it for his own, out of his own volition.
Yeah,
outside of what the perception could have been, but maybe this is getting too hip hop, like beef backpack focus on it. But people that know looking at an album that have Freddie and Benny on it, and look, I'm willing to bet some people looked at Mick Jenkins funny for doing this.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like he spliced together their features and put them on the same track or something back to back.
That would have been iffy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just something where like you notice it, you're like, oh shoot, that's kind of funny, and that's that. Like, I don't think there's any negative outcomes that could result from this. I think it's
the negative outcomes is you don't ever get a feature from. I guess it looks good in Freddie's eyes. It might not be so good on Benny's eyes.
I mean, that's more so related to the quality of the features, because I think maybe now he's not going to get another Benny feature because he said that Freddie's verse is clearly better. But if he never said one is better than the other and just put them back to back, I don't think that would have either of them. You really think that either of them would
that hip hop pride? If I'm Benny and I feel as if my verse is better, and then you put my verse behind Freddie's, I don't know. It looks like the artist is literally going to. The audience is literally going to consume Freddie's verse first.
JID was right after Benny. They were back to back features. I really don't.
This is true, but JID is not beefing with literal. I don't want to call these gangster rappers, but rappers that are about smoke.
I think, I don't know. Maybe you're right. I think you're reading too much into it, to be honest. Because
I'm just saying how the perception could be, especially with people that are really in tune with like artists and like beefs and picking sides and certain things.
I don't know. Like, I get, like, if there was any type of subliminal in the album or in the tracks themselves, I would understand. But
that's a good point. Actually.
Just based off of the order, I think it's doing too much. Especially, again, because there's a feature right after Benny. So, I don't know if that would have any bearing on this. But either way, it's like, as long as you're not, when you're curating an album, as long as you're not doing it just to say, oh, this will get streams.
Well, I mean, all artists want their music to get streams.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like for example, when artists release a single and then they release the chopped and screwed and the acapella and the instrumental and the sped up and the slow down, and they put the song on the album, and then they release a deluxe with that same song, and they drop another album afterwards that has that same song that blew up on the album. And this is all real, by the way. This is all real artists that do this. That's when I have a problem. That's when it becomes just purely transparent. But sorry, getting on a tangent, but that shit pisses me off so much.
I got you.
It's pathetic.
All right, little get it off your heart, get it off your chest there. Yeah. Well, it's interesting discussion. I think fundamentally, I was just kind of curious to hear your thoughts on this interview and this interaction with Mick Jenkins. I think obviously that album is definitely well put together. I think if I can recall correctly, we have data. We can look it up, but if I recall correctly, we all rated this album relatively well.
I might have listened to it after, but yeah, this album is super good.
I think Mick Jenkins, he's definitely an artist who I trust is going to put together a project that's going to be sonically, bangers. I think it's. I completely agree with you. It's not too much to read into. I just can't. I don't know if you're on his team, or if you're an artist team, or if you're in that studio session. I wonder if you do chime in and be like, well, maybe not do it, or maybe you should think about what could happen if you do it. I don't know. I guess it's just something to think
Man.
about more so than anything.
I'm gonna be the instigator. I'm gonna be like, you got these verses back to back. It'll be funny. I want to.
Jesus, you sound like you're the type to say somebody should put a Kendrick and Drake feature on the same project.
Yes. Yeah, back to back. Yes. 100%. That would be good.
Fair enough. Well, if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic.
Kendrick, Drake, and Cole back to back to back.
The fact that we're never getting that ever again is so sad. It's just never happening.
This is off topic as hell, but y'all think that Cole and Kendrick are ever gonna collab again?
I think I think the way Cole maneuvered, I think he has full. I think he can collab with anybody. I think he's full.
Oh, damn, he could do both.
Yeah, he can collab with anybody.
Yeah.
I think if he collabs with Kendrick and or Drake anytime soon, it would look away. But he's good the way he moved. Anyway, I want to say salute to Yachty. I will say salute to Yachty because he does this podcast. I believe it's called the Safe Space Podcast or something to that effect. And he's brought on a lot of guests. And while you might be able to say this is an example of a rapper that's got a lot of hype behind them doing content like this, and they just kind of funnel streams into their content because of their name, I still think, they had Dr. Umar Johnson, they had Joe Budden, so they're definitely trying to have some unorthodox, creative. They're trying to have some out there conversations. They're not just sitting there talking to other rappers and just talking some boring stuff. And especially when you hear this interaction. So to give you a little context, and I'll give you some context on the context. This is one of those examples of I saw this clip, and it was before it really blew up. It was before it was even on Shade Room, Hollywood Unlocked, and I'm like, this is really interesting. Like, I'm genuinely interested to know what y'all would think about this interaction. And then I just kind of see it more get more and more press. And it also became more relevant. And it even started to trend, and it got memed on. I'll try to keep it cohesive. So currently, if you don't know, Yachty's been trending because there was an artist that was associated with this group, the Concrete Boys. I should probably have some of this 100% fact check. He had artist Caribou on that, and they recently got kicked out. That happened a little while ago, and it was kind of on the low. It was like, yeah, we just had different, we had creative differences, all that jazz. But then as time has progressed, people have been saying dropping hints and rationales why that ended. And he recently even at the time of recording, recently went out and really gave the lowdown about how he basically created this artist, and he gave them all. He wrote their bars, and he did all these things for them. And the reason why he's trending, why he's gonna get memed on, because he's effectively became that stereotypical when somebody helps you out, and then they throw it in your face. You helped your homeboy with a month's of rent, and now or one of your homeboys helps you with a month's rent, and he never lets you live it down. He
this has definitely been a Nile skit, I'm pretty sure.
Basically,
yes, yeah.
basically,
I used to do that shit to my siblings all the time. Remember when I did your chores for you? Well, can you do this, and that for me?
So yeah, just to give you more context, in this particular clip, he's talking to one of his homeboys. I wish in this particular clip they would actually the caption they would mention him, but the brother's name is Mitch. His brother's name is Mitch. They're having an interview with Key Glock. It's great. They're having an interview with Key Glock, and then in the midst of the interview, they end up having this back and forth, and it's super interesting because, man, we'll listen to it. I don't want to gas it too much, but it's a question I would have bumped it. And it's to do with your close homeboy. So I'm not talking about y'all. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm just saying I can easily imagine this is a conversation you have with homeboy. It's just a real deal conversation. It's not anything to get too lean too much on unless you are a bit sensitive. But let me know what y'all think. Let's play it.
If you have the show.
Jesus, what's going on here?
Which way this?
All right, so
But I know I'm right. So I'm. What's
okay.
up?
Okay,
What you talking
cool.
about?
So let's go back to 2015. We was at my mama's house, right? I'm in my mama's house. Now Mitch is like 2-3 years older than me. All right. Now Mitch came to me, and for many years, you didn't just start making beats. By the way, you've been making beats since who knows how long you've been making beats for, a very long time. All right. And up until how long have we been doing this? Okay, so up until about maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, what you spent a lot of time trying to find your steps.
Right.
Right, but so
That's
to
what I'm saying,
sit
that's
and
my
make
point.
No. Imagine if you didn't have a friend who's already extremely successful to help you get on your feet. A lot of people don't have that. So what I'm saying is, what do you say? Because you didn't want to get a job. I never even suggested you get a job because I knew you wouldn't get a job. So what do you say to a who like, hey, I see a with a shiny watch. I got a gun, a dusty gun. It's gonna take a shiny watch. You know what I'm saying? What are you telling? I'm not gonna encourage it, but you gotta think about people got
And what I'm
families.
telling you is, it's shit you can tell it.
What?
Bro.
Like
Even
what?
if, even if,
But
what I'm
put your-
telling you.
think about
But listen,
yourself,
but
though.
no, listen though. Even if then, say that's the point I'm trying to make to you, bro.
What point?
Even if I wasn't doing shit righteous then, older now, so I would not tell it to do
Yeah, but
anything
yeah,
like I was doing back then, bro.
Yeah, but
That's what I'm trying to tell
that's
you.
fine, but that's because you've been through years of development.
Bro, that's the point of it. So I can.
When,
so I'm saying that's the point.
But think about, remove me from this situation. Remove me. I was never in your life. What the fuck would you have been doing? I feel like you might have been doing that shit. Who knows what you would have been doing if you ain't if you didn't have a to show you.
Right there. What are you saying, bro?
I'm saying that what you're saying is not. You're not like it's not true. You wouldn't tell him, hey man, just go get a job, man.
No, I ain't saying
goddamn-
no. That's not what I said. I
So
ain't say I
what-
would
so
tell a
what
nigga
you
to go
saying?
get a job. I ain't say that. I said I would.
Man, salute to Key Glock. Nothing like when you are just here to have a little interview and there's this interesting back and forth going on between folks. I guess to give a little bit more context, so they were obviously having a conversation about like the kind of dynamic of when you have somebody that kind of has the potential options of the street life or like get a job, but it's not an easy decision for them. It should be an easy decision for most people. And he was kind of speaking on how he would approach a person like that. And Yachty came in and was like, hold up. I mean, even a person like you didn't want to get a job, or you were a person that probably wouldn't have gotten a job. And the only reason why you were able to kind of maneuver through life and have this level of development period where you didn't have to have things cornered figured out is because you had a homie that was already super successful. So you always had a hell of a safety net. So that was the conversation I just consumed it and I was curious to know what y'all thought. But then it kind of blew up again, like I said, and now everyone's kind of memeing on Yachty, calling him like that friend that you never want to borrow anything from because he's gonna throw it back in your face. But I guess in general, I've been talking a lot. Do you think? I guess quite simply, do you think this was like a disrespectful confrontation, or was Yachty just being real? What do you think, Ghost?
Yeah, it was super disrespectful.
Really?
Yeah. And even if what Yachty was saying was accurate, for one, going into like saying he was making beats back in 2015 and all that, and like he made sure to insert himself as the catalyst for what's his name, Mitch's success. He could have made this point keeping it kind of general and not specifically calling out him or out Mitch, and then saying that without me being the agent of your success, then you wouldn't have been. That's some major whole shit. And it's something that if he wanted to make that point, he could have done it in a way that didn't make himself out to be this savior, and B, he could have. I don't know. Everyone's about fucking content and podcasts, and we're doing a podcast right now, so
just like us.
Yeah, but this could have been something that's discussed like off air, because airing this out for the entire, basically you're saying to the entire world,
but it was topic relevant.
It is topic relevant, but again, putting himself in the situation is basically Yachty's putting himself on a pedestal, saying, I was this great, I didn't need anyone. However, you weren't doing shit without me. Without me, you probably would have been going that. Like, that is some shit. And that is way out of line. Like, you're supposed to be boys and you're doing this. Like, it's disrespectful. It's not necessary. And it's the type of thing that you would make people not want to get involved with you at all, because if you're really boys and you're really doing something for somebody, you're not gonna bring it up in this way, in this capacity, and discredit their entire career or what they've done to this point, because basically saying they got there because of you. Like, I'm gonna make a real stupid, dumb example equivalency, but look at the RDC boys and how, like, Mark's obviously the top dude or whatever, the most known, but all of them, like, in all their own different ways, they making moves on their own. And you never see them like bring each other down, or Mark saying like, "Oh, without," like, the reason this came to mind is because I saw a clip the other day of like the exact opposite of this happening, where someone in chat had asked if Mark's the only one that doesn't have to work, and all the other everyone else has like a 9 to 5 or something, just like pocket watching. Yeah. But basically, like, they went the exact opposite route, and it's like there wasn't any type of discrediting or like, y'all got here because of me. And again, this is kind of a real stupid example, but just
that's a really
like
great
the
example.
Dichotomy of how you could approach it versus like, and again, Yachty's overall point of like his argument with Miller's not beef, but his problem with Mitch saying getting a job versus the street life and all that. It is important to keep perspective on, like, you can be very lucky, and it's kind of easy to say from a spot where you got, I don't want to say gifted, but you got the opportunity that a lot of people don't. That's one thing, but to do it in the way that Yachty did it is really just, it's really distasteful to me.
Mm-hmm. No, like I said, that was actually a really good example. So it's RDC, and like, I can see the streams as well, so I could easily imagine that. And because one of the first things I was gonna come back to you would say, and I think it's maybe still a question of like, what's the tasteful way to articulate like a part of the reason why somebody was able to either experience the success that they did, or have the level of life that they did, that level of comfortability or safety that is because of you. Like,
well,
it seems like there is no right way to tell somebody that type of thing.
Yeah, because you can't say it was because of only you. Like, I don't. I feel like if I was in Yachty's position, maybe make an example, like relate it back to yourself or something, where you got this big, because Yachty didn't just get big out of nowhere. He had some lucky breaks and all that.
Yeah.
And acting like you, like Yachty's essentially acting like he's the talented one. He's the one that got it from nothing, and he's the one that made it all on his lonesome. And then his friends came along.
I wouldn't load that onto the ride. I wouldn't load that onto a circumstance. I think what he's more so trying to stay in the frame of is, hey, you had a super successful partner, a peer, that provided you the life in which you can kind of work on your development. And I guess that's where you're kind of coming in towards saying like, y'all have to focus on, y'all have to be the one to grind and be the one to like lift everybody else up or lift others up. But I don't think he's even really speaking too much on what his endeavors was. I think he's just saying because of me, this allowed for you, most like other people, to go through to have the easier life.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is, I guess it is technically correct, but like when he at the end where he's like, "Oh, take me out of the equation," you probably would have been doing this. Like that's where it morphs from giving an example and giving context into really making it all about himself and he's responsible for his avenue of success.
Well, what if you feel like a person truly isn't giving you your due props for the contribution that you had with their development or their upbringing?
Bro, if we're boys and we're the same age, like
he said this brother's older than him, but that's neither here nor there.
So imagine like this pod blows up when we get fucking hundreds of thousands of followers or whatever,
and it will.
And then you come on here and say, or I come on here, like one of us comes on here and says, "Oh, without me giving the idea of doing this, or without me making the thumbnails, or without me editing this, y'all wouldn't have been here." Just imagine that. There shouldn't be a relationship of, "Oh, I did this for you, so I'm gonna hold it over your head." Like, at least in my mind, because I am never ever going to be the type of person that does that, because I think it's whole shit, and I think it's really disingenuous because it makes yourself seem like you got here by yourself, but the other person needed you, but you needed other people too. So
that's true. Nobody becomes successful completely on their own,
except Daley, apparently.
There's more that I kind of want to dig into, but I do want to get your thoughts, Ace. So I guess I'll save off. What do you think of this interaction? Do you think, like I said, do you think it was like more disrespectful, or do you think it was just being, real?
So first I will say this. I do wish I had more context and had watched this full thing in preparation, because this is like probably the first snippet that we've watched for this podcast where I've just felt completely like out of the loop in terms of what's happening, even though you did try to give some context, so I mean that helped. But I guess my question is, like, before this happened, or before this topic came up, was the what's this other dude's name? Mick Mitchell? Or Mitch. Was he like making it sound like not necessarily that Yachty didn't help him, but was he implying or making it sound like he would give somebody advice, or like steer somebody in a direction what, like to get a job or something like that, without Yachty's help? Or I'm having trouble with the
How's your
context or
podcast?
why this even came up and why
we can pull out
Yachty kind of went
if need be, but does that change the situation? Like, do you think are you envisioning a certain area where this makes more sense based off the conversation? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I guess the overall summation is, like, I think there are situations in which, like, a person can be completely like not necessarily disrespectful, but kind of like disingenuous to where they don't they don't acknowledge that they've received help or whatever to get to the place that they've gotten to the point where it's like it's almost like a pride thing or something like that, where it's like, hold up, why are you talking in this way when you know that XYZ happened to get you to the point where you've gotten? Like, I do feel like there could be a situation where something like that is warranted, but it would have to be where the person is doing something in a prideful way, like not showing humility, and also again like being disingenuous, like putting themselves above others and not acknowledging where they came from. So yeah, I could see something like this, a conversation like this making sense, but it would have to be in that context. And yeah, just judging based off this clip, like I don't have the context to say if that is where this came from, like the perspective that Yachty is coming from, or if it's something different and just completely unnecessary, like Ghost was saying.
Okay, so you're basically saying if your peer or the person that you potentially have helped out to some extent, or your lifestyle has allowed them to work on their development, if they're exhibiting pride, you probably would deliver a message like this in this manner.
Yeah. And this, I mean, I can't. It's hard to say like what does pride mean, or like at what point do I think I would be inclined to say deliver a message like this. But for some reason, like I definitely think it is within the realm of possibility that that a conversation like this would have to be had, like where a person needs to kind of be humbled and be like, hold up, like remember where you came from. Like this is not this.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just the way that you say that, like to be humbled. I know how you mean it, and you're right. But to do this humbling on a podcast that this video has 50
Oh yeah, I mean that's
million
why.
views.
Yeah. No, that's why I do say like I almost feel like there had to have been something that happened before this clip where it was just so egregious that Yachty felt like
Yeah, I guess if it's really, really bad, like the dude's being so braggadocious that it's like but even then it's like you can make this full point, just leave yourself out of it, because it becomes less about improving that person's outlook or changing it, and more so about making yourself look good.
Yeah, I got you. I understand what you're saying. But again, like if it is so egregious, like I could see it getting to the point where it's like you kind of just lose sight of trying to be neutral or anything. Be like, listen, if it wasn't for me, like I could see myself getting like,
I suppose, yeah, you're kind of. I think the context would help. You kind of. I won't say you change my mind, but you help make me look a little less harshly on Yachty, because in the moment I can't see like the person's like wilding so much. It's like you just gotta check them a little.
Yep, exactly.
When you have a second, pull up that link.
All right.
I hope it's not gonna mess up the names. Oops, oopsie doopsie.
about to say it right now.
Are you ready?
Yeah. And I don't know, just have to be mindful. But I don't want to just be watching people's videos and get copyrighted. But I think this is like a minute or two before that interaction that we view. Maybe it'll give the context you're looking for. Go ahead.
Yeah, even though maybe in the past, probably didn't live like righteous back then, but
Also, turn up a bit if you can.
The righteous path, and that is what you should do. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe
I can't let you say that because you're not being honest. You're not being honest. You're not being honest.
What you mean I'm not being honest?
What are you being honest about right now? What path did you find?
I'm saying there's other shit this can do besides shit that's not
What did
righteous.
you do?
Learn how to make beats.
What?
Yeah.
Why? What make you say?
No.
What make
why?
you cheek?
If we even going to why?
What make you peak
What
production?
do you mean what?
What do you mean?
Cause I
pick one. Go ahead, pick one. Cause I'm about to light you up.
What made you say like the producer line? What made you want to go that way?
I just always like the first time I heard a beat that was like dumb amazing, I was like, yo, I need to learn how to make that. So that's what made me start like making beats and shit.
You sound like you lie.
All right. Cool.
Yachty comes off as even more of a hoe. But I don't want to say it like that. He comes off even worse.
Yeah,
The guy wasn't even. It wasn't that bad. Like,
right.
if you look at it objectively, like even if he did get the opportunity because Yachty blew up, like his beats, he's still doing it today. Like his beats were good in some capacity. Like, bro, crazy.
Yeah.
But I think Yachty. But I think going back to what Yachty goes on to say is, like, he just wants to keep him in and you could say even this is like, this is not like man-to-man behavior, but like he just wants him to keep in context of this path that he went on to pursue of, I just wanted to make beats because I heard beats and that built into a passion of mine. It almost explicitly was able to happen because you already have a successful backbone. You already have it's like saying, you want to become a lawyer, or you want to, the difference between somebody that has to start from complete scratch to somebody that's already has family members that own a farm, that own a law firm. Like, I think we can generally see the context, the difference between those two things.
Yeah, like that. The whole pull yourself up by a bootstrap. Yeah, that's accurate. That is true. But it's just there's ways of going about it, because it seems like Yachty was just waiting to pounce and to jump on him in a way that's not. I feel like it kind of lost the message you're talking about. Is so much better than what ended up going down. Because
the thing is, even if I can agree with you, it seemed like there's still no right way to tell somebody the bad news. Not the bad news, but the news.
I mean, my main thing is you can tell someone this without propping yourself up as this deified figure that nothing would have been done without you.
What is the difference? What is the difference between a deified figure and the reality? The reality is Yachty is a mega successful artist, and he grinded to become that.
Okay, I'm just taking this away from the facts of the situation, because that is technically the facts of the situation. I'm looking at it from the perspective of, if we're boys and this is how you're going about this and how you approach the situation, that's what I have a problem with, because you did it in a way that is so even if you're technically telling the truth, you did it in a way that is like didn't really seem like for edification. It just seemed like you're trying to get him, trying to like knock him down a few pegs, when that's not how. I don't think that's how you should be going about business with your so-called friend that you've been boys with for years on years.
That actually makes a lot of sense, and I'm kind of curious to see if you are still on the same page, Ace, because effectively what you just said goes is really something real, in the sense that, like, what benefit does it serve you to keep your homeboy in a humbled state? Like,
I mean, so maybe I mean, this obviously did provide more context. I don't want to like I don't want to be annoying about this, but truly, like, this is something I'm gonna go after we're done. Like, I'm gonna listen to the whole thing. But what I'm getting now is Mitch was giving advice to others about how they should live their life and like trying to be like positive about it and like you should, we got to choose the higher road and like and it almost sounded like there was an element of this is what we did to get where we are and like I started making beats. But it's like there is a level of being disingenuous because that's not all that he went through to get to the point where he's at. So to tell somebody else like, well, you should take the high road because this is what we did, it's like tell them the whole story. Like at least say, I was lucky enough to have people in my camp that were on me and were able to help me get to the point where I'm at. So like maybe there's more context of like, find others that will encourage you to better yourself and maybe don't think you can do this all or don't think you have to do all of this on your own. Like there's more context that, again, this is all just me going from a couple minutes of audio, but if that is how Mitch's conversations went with others, there's more context that he could be providing that would actually help others based on his life experience. But if he's just downplaying or not, kind of downplaying or not admitting to the role others played in his life to get to where he's at and being able to make beats and like what if he's not providing all of that context, then he is talking like he's kind of talking out of his butt, like if it's not something that he experienced. And I could see that being frustrating to the person or people who are responsible and who did help him and who knows that, if you actually talked, if you actually gave the full context or how you got to be where you are, maybe you could actually be helping people, but you're just telling them take the high road because that's what we did. It's like, well, you didn't actually do that, so why would you think somebody else would do that just based on you saying it? Like, provide more context. So I still am on the fence of about whether or not this the message from Yachty was warranted. Again, because I'm creating a whole narrative based on 3 minutes right now, but yeah, I think I'm still on the fence.
Fair enough. And I always remember at the end of the day, we're not necessarily here to hyper focus on the actual thing that generated the topic. More so just from a general overall perspective. But I can definitely see your point. Just real quick, I can definitely see your point about like the way in which something. A conversation or a point is derived might lead to maybe a heavier or less clarification of the situation, if I'm understanding it correctly. Sorry, Ghost, you were gonna say something.
I was just curious if you've seen I think after this the Caribou separate incident.
Who, me or him?
I know Ace hasn't seen it, but have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay. Just because it's kind of similar to this, but in that one, I'm actually kind of on Yachty's side.
Really?
But
the one where he's being more harsher and saying he literally made the person?
Yeah, the reason I say that is because, like, from what she was saying, it was kind of like, you asked for this. But I was just curious. We don't have to get into it. But I just think it's funny that he's gotten embroiled in two separate situations that are very similar to each other. But this one just rubs me the wrong way. Like, greatly because I guess it comes into the intent of whatever person he's talking to.
Yeah, because it's interesting. We're not gonna bring up that clip, but I guess so. You yourself, sorry, have a threshold of like if somebody's presenting some level of disrespect, you will impart the fact that hey, you will impart your influence that you had on what they've been able to come or what they've been able to achieve, or you feel it's justified potentially. Not you would do it, but you feel you can see the justification in it.
Yeah, I guess it is more justified because again, I think like from what I've seen, she was taking shots and saying stuff that was incorrect and not true and being disingenuous and painting them in the concrete boys or whatever in a light that was negative.
Yeah.
And he provided the cold hard facts.
Yeah, I think if someone ever stripped both these lies in your name, I think it's always
yeah,
to correct the narrative or correct the lie or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I guess what it really boils down to is are you doing this against someone that's talking false about you, or are you doing this to your so-called boy?
Which I think we could all agree on. If someone is like saying flat out, like if this homeboy, or if you ever have a conversation, someone flat out says, I had zero help. Nobody even would talk to me about the situation, but I still did it myself. Then maybe
if bitch had came out and said, I did this by myself, Yachty, I asked you for help and you didn't do nothing. That's when it would be kind of like this. All right,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, and it's probably a situation where everybody has a certain level of threshold, and we can agree or disagree with whether that threshold warrants the response that they give. But I think that's part of the moral of the story. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like we said at time recording, Yachty's definitely trending and definitely being perceived as that friend that you don't even want to ever ask for nothing because they will throw it back in your face. Some of it might be quote unquote justified, and some of it might quote unquote be they just maybe that, and I don't know fully know the timeline, but maybe I know that last rant that you were referring to where they were talking about Caribou, that happened super recently, even after this interview. But maybe that's just been his general vibe, and things are building. So maybe his energy's like anybody can come. If anybody comes up and says anything kind of shicey to him, he's kind of like, eh. But anyway, that's just loading things on.
Yachty just seems like the type of dude who wants people to call him the group leader in a friend group.
I don't know about that. I think he's fully comfortable with like playing his part in a bigger picture. I mean, he's been super close with like Drake recently, and I don't think he considers himself like a leader compared to Drake. But regardless, what Kendrick say? Yachty can't give you no swag neither. I don't give about who you hang with.
Oh wait, man, just super off topic. This has nothing to do with the actual real what we were discussing. Yachty's music is dog shit, bro. Yes, okay. He does not deserve to be as big as he is. Again, as a person, as I have nothing to say about him. His fashion, I don't care about fashions, whatever. His music is awful. It's trash, and I don't understand how he's gotten that big. That's it.
Yes, fine, fair enough. The only reason why that's even acceptable.
I had to get my hate out, bro, because it's been bubbling up.
It's cool.
Every time I hear him talk, I think about him rapping, and it's so bad.
It's cool. I don't have no problem with it because I did the same thing when we were talking about that funny Marco thing. So it's cool every once in a while, as long as we don't just come out here and hate constantly. But regardless, yeah, if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. Oh wait,
you had 2 clips in the Yachty one.
Yeah, there was actually more. Dang, I hate when I say that too early. It's not nothing to like. It's not going to be another questioner, but pull up that other link. Just for a full level of clarity on this particular scenario. So after the interview, Mitch came out and he addressed the clip from the podcast. Let's see what the brother had to say. So, Mitch on Twitter being at Mitch Gone Mad Pardon me. Please don't let the clip misguide you. It doesn't represent me and Yachty's friendship at all. We joke around pretty hard sometimes, too much for real. Sometimes, but IRL is nothing but respect. And I can't even get on here and act like it's not. I think
Yachty was looking over his shoulder when he sent that, and he had to give him the okay first.
Jesus Christ. Was there more of that? I thought there was a couple other tweets. He also said, everybody that know me know I put in work. Nobody can take that from me. And he wasn't trying to take that from me. We just debating on camera. It got taken out of context. If you don't hear it from me, it's not true. Bro never stole from what? And we don't
this is probably some
shady history. Okay, this is probably people might load on something. Shady history or anything
Twitter
along that nature. So that's cap. Ain't nobody Lil Bro never came. Wait, what? Ain't nobody Lil Bro never been checked.
Never been. I ain't nobody Lil Bro. Never been.
Oh.
Check my history. I had stats before I met Bro and got even. So he's saying we don't got beef, but he's make himself.
Yeah, I will say no one's saying that he's already Lil Bro, but he definitely got Little Bro duh.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, at least he recouped a little bit.
But yeah. Okay. If
he sent that one without Yachty's permission.
Is there anyone just want to know what Mitch's thoughts were after the clip and after thing kind of blew up? This is his thoughts on the matter. That'll also be in the link in the description below if anyone wants to further read into it. But just to give more context. All right, sorry, I said it too a bit quickly, but there's nothing else, so we can move on to the next topic.
And Twitter is really an interesting platform. People just be
well, actually, it's
sharing their thoughts.
You know, that's social media in general.
Yeah, but
I don't do it.
Twitter just like their thoughts distilled. Like that's it. That's the primary focus of it. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Man, this story is so goddamn exhausting. I feel as if we've seen the exact literal movie play out. I want to say it was with the Julio brother, Julio, but regardless, actually go to the third to last. Sorry, I keep kind of making you go back and forth on some of these joints, but yeah, go to the third to last. I believe is where this story starts. I guess the next one to the left. Okay, usually when young brothers pass away, we come out here and say rest in power. Unfortunately, we cannot quite give that out. I mean, you could. I'm not. Philadelphia rapper YBC DUL, who went viral for digging up his enemy's grave, has been shot and killed.
Wow,
I will say
they find these demons, bro.
I will always say this is always incredibly tragic how you know, in the community there's a cycle of, you know, violence and hatred towards one another that this continues to happen. I don't think anything in this particular post gives the insight, and really there's no real lengthy insight to give. That's really the grand opening, grand closing. But I'll just read a bit. Maybe I'll probably include this in the link in the description below. But this is according to 6 ABC in Philadelphia. Philadelphia police are investigating a shooting that left the popular rapper dead in the city's Olney section. Chopper 6 was over the scene around 3:34 p.m. Friday on 5500 block on North 6th Street. A white Hyundai SUV was held there as a part of the investigation. Police say the 25-year-old male victim was shot multiple times in the chest and hand, but officers are still working to find where the shooting happened. Sources have identified the victim as Abdul Vix, a well-known rapper known as YBC DUL. He was affiliated with the gang Young Bag Chasers, YBC. Vic was rushed to the area hospital where he was pronounced dead. So far, no arrest has been made. So that's the story. That's the brother's life. So, as the Hollywood Unlocked post has outlined, we're not talking about a Chance the Rapper here. We're not talking about Mick Jenkins. We're not talking about Who's another safe rapper? We're not talking about a rapper that was. Sometimes talking some street shit, but we're not talking about. We're not talking about a family friendly rapper. We're talking about a rapper that was talking that street shit and was in that street shit. And go to the right to see one of his most viral moments.
Niggas fucking dirt up. Hey, yo, where the fuck Carney at, yo? Carney, where the fuck you at? Ah!
So, in this video, you see him literally digging up at a cemetery or gravesite with the caption, "He really is disrespectful." SMH potty mouth bull. What else we got? Keep going to the right.
Yeah, what's the difference?
A lot of niggas got overcooked.
Yeah, what's the difference between getting overcooked and getting undercooked in the streets?
You hit a nigga 3 times, he undercooked. If a nigga get hit with 8 or more, he overcooked. It depends where you hit him at. I ain't get hit yet.
When you say hit, do you mean hit by gun bullet?
Yeah, got by gun bullet.
You never been hit?
Yeah, I ain't get hit yet.
And how many times you been doing the hit?
We been doing this shit for a long time now.
More than 10?
10 niggas posted up, I hop out, switch the crowd. All them niggas running with their hot stand shoot back like, where y'all glizzy now?
Is this a bulldog skit?
Well, to be fair, he did say yeah. He did say yeah.
No, but even
He said he
besides
didn't
that,
get
which
hit
is
yet.
actually crazy. Bro, he just admitted to at least 10 bodies on camera.
In this one post, at Rich and Ray 33 posted, Philly rapper YBC DUL, aka Mr. Disrespectful, denied ever being shot in an interview released a day before the fatal shooting. Jesus.
Look at bro in the back. Look at those eyes. Look at that pose, bro. Like it's a whole group. Just look.
I mean, we're identifying nothing. Nothing has to do with nothing. Salute to the sisters out there who wear hijabs and wear modest color coverings. Philly has a lot. Philly has a lot of those folks. I'm be honest with you.
Salute to them.
Is there anything else? Go to the right one more time.
All them niggas dropping back to back. We got the city. We let the deep dive down and turned up, and now they feelings hurt. I lost my brother to the shit, so they gon' feel it worse. Kwani still ain't got no teams.
Yeah, if you gonna get a spell, demonic spell cast.
Yeah. Or yeah, even.
What'd you say?
Well, I want to turn off because for
get
copyright, but go to the right. You listen to this music back to back to back. You're definitely gonna get the devil's definitely gonna be all up in your spirit. But it gives more context to the fact. I wish we could have watched this with sound off. It gives more context to the fact that clip that we saw, he would use that for a music video where he was digging up on one of his ops' graves. Anyway, go back over to the post of him, unfortunately being shot and killed. Oh, I'm so like a passive person, but I mean, a lot of people look at this situation and they're just like, you get what you get. Anyway, now you kind of, I'm willing to bet you guys weren't fully aware of this brother, but now you are. His persona, his life, and unfortunately his end. I guess, I guess simply speaking, is there like a limit or a threshold on remorse that you give to the deceased? Because obviously his death was tragic, unfortunate. But when you look at the lifestyle, it's almost like we said, it's like a Boondocks skit. This is literally like you're watching an episode of Boondocks. The brother's rapping about this lifestyle. He's saying they didn't catch me yet. He's doing disrespectful things, and by the end of the episode, Huey comes in and says, "And this rapper was fatally shot on the corner while he was rapping about killing his ops." So it's almost like, you've seen the script before, so you can't be surprised when it happened. But yeah, I mean, maybe I'll spare my thoughts. Ace, what do you think? Do you think there's a limit on remorse? Do you think no matter what, these are still incredibly tragic and unfortunate situations that we should give that level of respect to? I don't know if respect is the right word. What do you think?
There is 1000% a limit on remorse. And I think that it goes beyond an intellectual limit. It's just like a kind of reactionary thing where if somebody was doing egregious crimes, you are going to feel less, if not no remorse for that person when they die or get killed. And I don't think there's a problem with that. If you do want to add an intellectual discussion into it as well, it's like this guy's talking about shooting up 10 people or shooting into a crowd, and it's like if he did live, he probably was going to continue to do that. So there's also the consideration too. Like if this dude was not even remorseful for what he was doing, there was no sign of repentance. Again, that's just going to contribute to the general perception that you're not going to not many people are going to be sad or even regretful or anything about his passing. Like it's just not going to be there. And yeah, I don't think there's a problem with that. Like you can think of it, you can think about it in more of a societal thing where it's like, okay, you can have like regret or even maybe sympathy for the culture or society that young dudes like this are brought up in.
Yeah.
That pushes them towards this lifestyle. But outside of that, like I think it becomes very difficult to look at somebody who is living that lifestyle without remorse and just apply that grace to that particular person, because it's just like when it becomes so egregious like this, where again it looks like there was no any type of conscience towards maybe I'm doing something wrong. Obviously, like he thought he was invincible. Like it's just like, how can you sympathize? You gave me nothing. Like it's
Well, I mean, you brought it up, but I mean, that's one of the bigger kind of arguments of like, while a brother like this is actively participating in that type of behavior, the environment not only breeds these type of individuals, but it's almost, and I don't want to get to the whole glorification thing. My thoughts on that, but that same behavior that we're saying you potentially don't get remorse because of it. That's why he was able to rise up. That's why he was able to get as big as he was. Like we're talking about an environment. It's like that cycle. Like he literally you're gonna get more respect, get more views, get talked about more. If I go to the grave side of my ops, piss on his grave, say I'm invincible. So it's almost like how much of that is even his fault when the entire not the entire culture, but the culture rewards that in a sense. Like, isn't that just a natural behavior that somebody would tend to fall in, and is it truly their fault then?
I mean, I don't think you can say it's okay, maybe I won't go as far as to say you can't say it's natural, but
I do think that
say that
I just speak out of line. It's not not natural, but a potential path.
Yeah, it's a potential path. It's probably the more encouraged path in terms of peer pressure, in terms of the easy way to get your name known. But that does not equate to, like, to me, there's plenty of people who don't do what he did. And yes, they may struggle in life for it, but that doesn't mean that, okay, well now I'm going to have more remorse because somebody like chose the easy way out. It's like you made a deal with the devil. I'm not gonna be like, well, you had more things in your life that pushed you towards making a deal with the devil. Ultimately, if you made the deal, I'm not going to sympathize with you regardless. Like it comes to a point where you're too far. It's almost like you're too far gone. I can't have sympathy for somebody it's just like no remorse, no gives no reason for anybody to have any type of respect for them.
Jeez.
That it's not going to be there. If what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think like it gets to the point where they're too far gone for that to be present anymore.
Fair enough. I feel as if I can assume your position as well, Ghost, but do you think there's a limit on remorse when it comes to the deceased?
I think Ace covered it pretty well. I don't have too much more to add. All I will say is that I will leave it, or it's up to the Most High to judge. Both now, when bro was alive, and after he is not.
This is very true.
I'll leave it at that because there's nothing productive else I can say. But one thing I will say, like, this is just so like egregiously awful. Like this is the type of shit that racist white people will see on social media, and then it's like, see, like I told them no good. It's just really sad, and that's how.
Even though it might sound messed up, you saying that, I always say, like, I'm on record, like, and obviously, we do have to rationalize the privilege that we have to grow up with the mindset and the parents that we did, but I, in a messed up way, I want to think of like my people as a whole, like Israelites, but I consciously do a lot of the reasons why I moved the way I do, because for better for us, you are not to appease or appeal to like white people or people in general, but I do rationalize I am a representation of people that look like me. That's just what it is. That's just human rationality. So what you're saying does have a lot of merit to it. I guess the last piece of this particular story. So the father of this brother actually spoke out. It's kind of a lengthy post, but I'll read a bit of it. Go to the right. Hey all. Let's see. Hey all of my sons, friends, family, etc. I am DUL's father. I was handed over all my baby boy's belongings this morning by his close friends and wanted to clear up any confusion. My son Abdul Vix was murdered yesterday afternoon, broad daylight, while sitting in the back of his car along with his friend, who was also shot in the hand. My son was not on a bike when he was killed, nothing of that such, so that video going around is not him slapstick false news. I know my son did not live a life of a saint, but I was not born yesterday either. 100 emojis. My son was targeted in some setup plot. That's the only way they could get him from up close like that, and I'm standing on that. For someone to be able to walk up so close to his car was the first red flag for sure, and I promise we not gonna stop till your dudes are exposed. I spoke to my son that night before all this went down, and I just couldn't understand why this talk out of all the days felt different. Pops, it's been weird. Cars passing by me for a week now. I don't know. I just feel weird whenever I'm in Philly. Broken heart emojis. You can go on to read you can get the rest of it yourselves. Obviously, a lot of this makes sense from the perspective of a father, or a parent in general. He does acknowledge his son was far from a saint. And he tries to.
That's one way of putting it.
And he's trying to clear up the confusion. I guess another part of this. Maybe I'll read this last part. He said, he goes on to say, rest easy, my son, Abdul Qadar Vix. My heart will forever have a black hole in it after this one. Parents, save your kids from this life before it's too late, because I can't even explain this feeling right now. Oof, man. I wonder if anyone's ever told this to him. Anyway, do y'all think from if we're talking about a family member, like a real deal blood family, that changes your perception of this type of dynamic? Because I mean, it seems like this brother.
Say that again.
Sorry if I'm cutting out. Do you think if it's your own family that because it seems like we're pretty much on the same pages. Remorse definitely has a limit, and if you're actively participating in certain lifestyles, Islamists, it's just going to be a limit on that remorse that you're going to get if such things would happen to you. Do you think that dynamic changes if it's a flesh and blood family? I guess spinning back. What do you think, Ghost?
I mean, I'm not gonna begrudge his family the feelings of remorse or hurt and all that. I don't know.
Fair enough. It's incredibly hard. It is incredibly hard to imagine. Maybe that's not. Maybe it's not a question to go and ask him. Like, what if your family was a literal street demon going around? Like, how much remorse and sympathy would you feel for it? I think we can all.
I'm not going to say my opinion on
it's
this. I'll just say
I can give an answer to this.
Fair enough. Take a shot. Don't say nothing too controversial.
No, I won't. I can understand a family member having much more of a level of remorse because they knew this person when they weren't like this, like the way, the way we see them. When they see that family member, they're seeing that person from, especially a father, they're seeing the child who they, who they saw, birthed through childhood, teaching them things. Like they're seeing all of that in this person who was killed. Yes, exactly. So when that person dies, they're mourning that whole lifetime that they had with the person, not just the all of the negativity that we saw towards the end of their life. So yeah, for that reason, like I still think a person grieving for their loved one, even if it was somebody who, committed these crimes, like there is that it makes sense that it's more than just this evil person that they're grieving for. It's the person that they were, the person that they maybe hope that they would still become. It's all of that. So yeah, I definitely, I would take anything away from the family grieving for a person that passed, even if it was somebody who was, committing all type of crime and stuff. The only thing I would say is like, public perception and maybe even my perception could be swayed about the family if the family then starts to try to like exonerate a person who was committing crimes and doing things that just in general like would put a target on their back. It's like, dog, I get it in one way, but in the other ways you can't take away from the things that he did. Like he desecrated somebody else's grave. Now, what if somebody did that to his grave? How would you feel? So there's like give and take there if the family tries to do something like that. But other than that, I definitely wouldn't take away from family having much more of a level of remorse for somebody that passed, regardless of their current day actions.
Yeah, I totally got you. It's like those cases where you see people saying free so and so. Like typically will kind of understand, but then when you find out that person that you're saying free so and so is in jail for like convicted of multiple murders and he's on video doing stuff to his like it's definite proof. Then we're like, whoa.
Right, keep bro locked up. Like free TK, like bro, do y'all know what TK did? Like he needs a long stint.
I'm gonna be honest, I was always, even as a child, I was always a little bit wary of that free so and so culture. I get it. That's also kind of part of the culture. You know, a lot of our brothers and sisters are obviously, you know, in prison and having certain sentences that they don't deserve. But I've always needed to know the facts of the case for myself.
Yeah, like
for anybody.
save it for the people who deserve it, not walk them down, young bull, put them in the grave 42. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on this, and it's really just the moral of the story that I believe. For any of those, and it feels if you even come close to listening to this podcast, maybe that's not true, but listen to this podcast. If you believe in the Most High, believe in God to any certain extent, whether you staunchly read your scripture, your Bible every day, or whether you just have a general view that the Most High, you know, is a creator and the Most High believes in righteousness, please believe in the concept of you reap what you sow. It's just is what it is. There's no getting around it. That's just keep that in mind and let it be in your thought when you go about your actions. And I was just reading earlier the story of King Ahab and Jezebel, and just how you see the Most High give the warning, indication of what's going to happen, and you just see that downfall. Yeah, I think the whole totality of the environment is tragic, but once we get to some of these specific instances where people are showing lack of remorse for what they're doing and also what they're facilitating, I think it's just more understandable that less remorse is going to be given to them. Aside from that, it is what it is. Pray for Philly in general. That's really we can give a salute to a prayer to. But if something else we can move on to next. That was the last topic. Really just get off your heart, get off your chest. And we do have wait till you pull it up. We do have somebody I have no issue giving a rest in power to. Rest in power to Wally. I never knew the actual name of a man, but I guess it makes sense. Wally, Famous Amos, an entrepreneur who founded the cookie brand Famous Amos, died. He was 88. Man, what a long life to live. So to him. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say we've all had these cookies before, and you know sometimes they hit more than others, but this brother is definitely still a whole legend. So yeah, salute to them. I was gonna say while we were kind of in the podcast, I was looking at this and I was thinking, and this is kind of weird. So give me some grace. I didn't necessarily much so like these cookies when I was a kid.
The cookies are not that good, to be honest.
But as I've gotten older, especially when it's the small bag, I don't got to eat a whole bunch of them. They kind of do hit, and I almost wonder if the brother intentionally made the cookies for older. Like, do you think some snacks and some products are made for like an older group? Some things like they hit hard when you're a kid. Like some of those snacks, they just hit hard, but then when you're older, they don't. And I guess for me, there's some vice versa. I don't know if that's just me, but
I don't know. These have never been good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if I like something as a kid, I'd probably still like it now.
Man, that's cap.
And then,
you used to eat whatchamacallit, Cool Ranch Doritos and oatmeal pies every day all day. You're not eating them. You're definitely not eating those anymore.
I mean, but that's for nutritional reasons. Like, I still think Cool Ranch Doritos would be good.
Yeah,
Oatmeal pies though? I don't know what the heck you're talking about with that.
Oh,
Oatmeal-
you know what? That is
oatmeal
one thing.
pies
Those
is-
oatmeal pies are so nasty now. They're
Oatmeal
really-
pies is the oatmeal cookies with the cream in between.
Those are so bad now.
Oh, I don't think I liked those that much when I was younger. So I don't think my perception would change. I know, and I was just thinking about like Dunkaroos. Like I haven't had those since I was a kid, but I'm 100% positive those would still go hard. Now with the frosting that they used to have with it.
Man, we do food challenges on the podcast, so don't get on here. Don't get here too confident. Some of these things are just nasty.
Hey, yo, if you bring Dunkaroos,
What is
or
this?
those
This looks nasty. Bro. I ain't never seen this.
You never Dunkaroos?
Nope.
Dunkaroos.
That's very sus. I'll be honest, and the fact that we can have a funny conversation even after such sad news, that means that just shows how much of a legend this brother is. I'll be honest, Dunkaroos, the cream is really good. That's the part that kids love. Them cookies, I don't know, man.
You had to have it with the cream. You're not just gonna eat the cream alone. Like
I would definitely eat the cream alone. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's
Oh my
Yo,
God.
Frosting. Call it frosting.
I would definitely
save you, bro.
Let me be explicit. I would have definitely consumed the Dunkaroos packaged frosting that you find in the blue container separately and or individually from the cookies that they also package in the Dunkaroos package.
There we go. There we go.
Jesus, Joseph and Mary. I feel like I'm a camera on the Mace show. This is not going to do anything anyway. The moral of the story is salute this brother. Whole legacy. Even if we don't like them, they're famous for a reason. So, rest power to them. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Let me go here. Let me do this. Put this away. Oops, sorry. This. Go here. Do this. Okay. Before we close out, anything we're looking forward to? Tell about how something to look forward to. Pardon me, sorry.
Yeah. I guess I have a long weekend this week. Well, I mean, I knew I had Friday off, but
Friday.
Monday is, well, I'm going to a concert Friday, so that was part of it. But then I have Monday too.
Is past tense or future tense?
Future.
Oh, okay. Nice. Anywhere good?
No, I mean not to you guys. That's why I didn't invite you. I already know you didn't like the artist.
What is this?
Are you inviting your other friend group?
That would be
No,
crazy.
I think I'm gonna roll to this one solo.
I think what were we talking about? Beefing? I think
Waxahachie.
Would I be pissed at that? I mean, if you say I don't like them, what are they? Salsa?
Country adjacent.
I'm on record. I've been saying country could have been a vibe before anybody. I'm on record. Not to say I was running to go to this concert, but I'm just saying.
No, I mean it's because you guys didn't like particular songs from the artist. Like multiple times I brought them to the podcast, so there ain't no reason.
I just imagined it like you made one of my secret favorite artists.
No. This was like confirmed. I know you don't like this artist. So.
I feel as if I didn't come out and say I don't like them. I probably just said these are hella country songs. I don't know why I'm listening to this right now. Something like that. But all the same. Anything else?
For me.
This weekend is beach trip weekend. So y'all gotta get at least one of those in the summer. Technically I got a couple of those because of the DR trip, but yeah, that should be, hopefully it goes relatively smooth. And there's some dope events coming up soon. There might be some weekends where there's no podcasting, but we'll see. I just gotta kind of see how the scheduling works out. In summer, as in, not necessarily the season, because I'm recording it's the end of August, but summer as in the heat that literally is humid and fogs up your brain and makes you less motivated to do certain things is coming to an end, which is also pleasant. I forget anything, but there's nothing else. Why am I forgetting the blank on the outro? Well, I'm forgetting I'm blanking on the outro, but I know that it's always important to come in here and thank y'all for coming out here and doing this podcast thing. I'm not gonna be like Yachty ever. Definitely a collaborative effort. Nobody's like, not gonna be no Yachty shit ever. I can guarantee you that. And we give, sorry, let me wait till I'm done with this. And we give great thanks to any and all listeners, supporters, folks that just click the video, like it, subscribe, of course, watch for any limited time, especially commenters. We try to make sure we respond to the comments, but I'm a little off sometimes because I gotta make sure that it actually goes to a separate account. But we'll continue to work on that. Yeah, and we just hope that by listening to this podcast or watching our videos that you gain your perspective, or you learn something new. Like if you had Fugee tickets booked, you might want to go back and see if those got canceled. Or we just hope that you find us entertaining. But if none of that happened to you, then all we have to say to you is be warmed and be filled. Okay, stop the recording. Jesus, 3 hours and 26.